Everyone wins with the Riders in the playoffs.
License number LR240102.
This wasn't an animal, and it wasn't human either. Take that!
Sometimes you need to work outside in the cold. Maybe not battling a snow beast, but regular work. Prairieland Rental has heaters, generators, and all the things you need when you work outside. You can even rent skid steers to move snow and deal directly with the owner.
Take that, and that!
Prairieland Rental, 600 Albert Street, prairielandrental.com.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents the all-new Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Sask Lotteries, bringing communities together. Sask Lottery products fund over 12,000 sports, culture, and recreation groups across Saskatchewan. Be a part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936. 6262. The all-new Sportscage. Streaming at sportscage.com and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
It is Tuesday. Welcome to another week of the all-new Sportscage. It's Barney Shinkaruk and Chris Mazurek with you for the next 3 hours. CNC got everything buttoned up on the other side of the board here. And, it's not the Tuesday that we wanted. But, hey, it's sports and anything can happen. Maz, Riders lose. We're going to talk a lot about that as we get going here. The Grey Cup festivities are underway in Vancouver. Arash Madani is there. He'll stop in. I'm sure Glen Suitor is floating around too. He was pumped about that zip line back in May, so he better be buzzing on some sort of all-access pass so he can just go up and down as many times as he wants. The big Mitchell Bowl. In Regina, Saturday. The Regina Rams upset. They go to Saskatoon, yes, and they upset the U of S Huskies. Now they host the Mitchell Bowl, and the Laval Rouge Or are coming to town. We got audio from Laval's coach, as well as the Rams coach, and also one of the Rams players coming up momentarily. SJHL report, it is Tuesday. Benny Walchuk stops in. What's going on in the SJHL? One team is on a massive slide that was buzzing earlier in the year, so we're going to get Benny's take on that with the SJHL report. Glen Suitor in hour 3, and then we're shifting Darian Durant. He is joining us. He's going to be at about 5:30, so Durant is in hour 3, just a little bit later than usual.
Wasn't it last week that he fell asleep on you because of time change and he missed his time?
He's having his nap. That's right. And he
nice. I like it.
Yeah. So
it's funny.
He said he's all ready to go this time though.
It's funny you mentioned it's not the Tuesday a lot of us wanted. Riders losing Saturday to Winnipeg, but I'm disappointed that we didn't win, but I'm not mad. The Bombers were flat out the better team on Saturday. What hurts worse than a loss like this, to me personally, and I don't know if you're in Rider Nation, you feel the same way. If we would have lost by like a point on a last-second field goal, or remember when we hit the uprights and had a chance to win, that one hurts. That's a whole other world of hurt from what we saw on Saturday. The Bombers looked dialed in, ready to go from the minute that the ball kicked off, and I'm sure the Riders had a game plan, and if they did, they just didn't get a chance to get to it and execute, because it just looked like the Bombers had an answer for everything they did.
I'm curious to get, if anyone wants to have their say, you know that the Capital Ford Lincoln text line is always open. 306-936-6262. Capital Ford, Saskatchewan's #1 Ford retailer. Heck, we'll open up the Western Pizza guest hotline. If you want to just call in and let her fly, Colson, you got to be on your toes, kid. That number, toll free, 1-866-767-0620. And again, if you just want to call, if you're locally, 936-6262, punch in 306 before that. Okay, so it's hard to be negative, like you said, because I look at it and where would you rather be, right? Okay, so who are the best teams in the CFL? We got to tip our hats and say Winnipeg's better this year. Winnipeg was better. Winnipeg game plan better. Winnipeg was the better team. Winnipeg executed their game plan perfectly. Like we couldn't get anything going offensively early, let alone having second and manageable. We just didn't have anything. And I don't know. So the thing is, I don't know how much of that was on Harris. I factor more of that being Winnipeg's game plan and executing it. Like it was almost like in Tecmo Bowl back in the day when you would pick the other guy's play and then they would just swarm that running back. Or Winnipeg did a heck of a job. Kudos to the coaches for coming up with that. And say, okay, so we're better than, we're in a better place everywhere across the board than Edmonton, then Calgary, then Hamilton, then Ottawa, probably BC, Toronto, debatable, Montreal, and Winnipeg's the class of the league right now. So for everyone, I was going through some of the text messages, that were sent over the last few days here. A lot of logical people. Good on you. Hey, you know what? Where we were last year to where we were this year, kind of stuff like that. And then some people losing their minds. Like, it's just how it happens. We ran up against an unreal team on Saturday.
Yeah. So yesterday, me and Darian got a chance. We did an episode of the Rider Nation podcast, and it's up on our Sportscage YouTube channel. And we go deep. It's like 40 minutes. So if you want to go 19 layers deep on this game, but a couple of things that stand out that he pointed out right away. He said Winnipeg had 2 weeks to game plan against us. And he said what they brought at us defensively, they didn't show it all during the regular season in those 3 wins. And that caused a lot of the confusion. And then when they got on top of us early and went up 14, we really didn't have a chance. We abandoned the run game too early. It was 14-6, and it seemed like we went away. We had the 2 backs on the roster. We had but we were behind. And we needed to catch up, and they kept scoring touchdowns, and we were kicking field goals. And so it would have taken a lot of patience to stick with the run, although the run wasn't necessarily working at the time. So we kind of had to abandon it. And Darian also said, too, is the receivers like that. He said the catch in the end zone, Keyshawn Johnson, he goes, you got to make that. Like, you got your hands on, you got to make it. He thinks that cost the ball game. I want to get your thoughts on that Johnson drop in the end zone.
Yeah. So that drop is key. Personally, I feel MLS in a big game like that, you got to squeeze those balls. Like, you have, like, I don't know, it's just like they were there. Squeeze the hell out of that ball. The Johnson drop for sure. Fake punt, what a call. I've been calling for that all year, but we didn't do anything with it. Right? It's momentum.
So on the fake punt, fake punt, block punt. We didn't do anything with it. And one of the things, and I saw this, and I wasn't sure if anybody else, but Darian saw it too. Jameer Thurman got rattled in the first quarter, and then he looked off the rest of the game. And it was on a 3-yard run by Brady Oliveira, and Oliveira runs him over. And like Darian described it with violence, he said.
Yeah, I heard you guys on the podcast. It seemed to set him
off. Yeah, it seemed to set him off. And when he was unsettled, because he's our steady Eddie, he's the rock. It just seemed like after that, it was like, oh man.
I heard that on the podcast, and immediately, you know what I thought? What's the book on him? Can you go back and see him, like in any sport, once, if it gets a little greasy, does he fold up other times, or does he shy away other times? NHL playoffs, right? You see it. For how many years did Ovechkin get hit, get into the grease, didn't want any part of it? Then he realized to win, he was going to have to. So I don't know. I don't know about Thurman on that. That was a lick, though. That was a hard lick. Text coming in here. Bombers are the class of the West. Riders need to close the gap. Close, but not close enough. Derek is driving to Tisdale. Coulson, it's T-I-S. You spell like me. Derek, let her fly.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Hey, I'm just, first of all, Derek from Saskatoon, Walter Murray Marauder, Barney. So, you know.
What year?
There's that. 89.
Okay. Yeah, you guys were good.
We were very good. Anyhow, going to shoot a whole bunch of kudos to a whole bunch of people here today. I first of all want to thank your team, Barney. You guys have done a great job this year with your coverage not only for the Riders, but I've also really enjoyed your high school coverage on Fridays. I think bringing the attention to all the great football that's happening across the province is awesome. So I wanted to say that. I've been thinking about that for a while.
Thank you.
Someone made a point earlier about wanting, glad that the game ended the way it did, and I've been saying the same thing to my friends today. It would be really hurtful to be going. We're going to the Grey Cup. It would be awful to go to the Grey Cup having lost by a point on a rouge or a field goal made in the last second of the game versus what happened on Saturday. I think the Riders were clearly, I would never say underprepared. That's not this team. I would say just not ready yet. And I think they've got a lot of experience. Love the coaching staff. Love the players. It's going to be a different team next year. I think a lot of people are going to learn a lot. I thought Corey took a couple of knocks during the game. Going forward on third and I think it was 3rd and 10 early in the fourth quarter. I thought that was too early. That put Winnipeg up another 7 points that they didn't need. Love the punt call. I think Korsak, if I'm not mistaken, took it on his own. Wasn't called. At least that's what was reported on the sideline. And the overall effort from the guys was good. Winnipeg was just great on Saturday, and I'm not going to cheer for them on Saturday out of principle, but I'm going to be hoping for a good game.
Hey, here's a better question. Thanks for all that. As a guy that's loving provincial football right now and what happened, we'll run down what happened in all the high school championships. So are you going to cheer for the Rams, though, against Laval, even though they're not the Huskies from Saskatoon?
Okay, here's the thing. You know what? Yes, I am. I have to cheer for our provincial team. No doubt about it. I think they're going to be tough. Laval has always been, I think some would say a semi-pro team, given I think they have some different rules that they can play with there in Quebec. Yep. But I tell you, the Rams, I watched the game on Saturday. The Rams took me a bit by surprise. I hadn't seen them this year. I thought the Huskies were a better team going into the game, but I was super impressed with the way they were able to come back. The turnovers they forced out of the Huskies and the quarterback, I was really impressed with their defense and the offensive line. They took it to our defensive line on Saturday as well.
Right on. Well, like I said, Derek, totally appreciate the kind words, appreciate the call. You call back anytime. It's always nice when an East Sider and a West Sider can get along and agree.
Yeah, you bet, Barney. No problem.
Right on. Drive safe. Right there. It's Derek cruising to Tisdale. Makes some good points. Maz, he likes your take there on I'd rather it be that than close. Or a rouge. Oh,
yeah.
Imagine if it was a rouge. Oh.
Wow. So that was a thing. So rouge, command center, missed pass interference, missed roughing the passer, anything that would have brought the game into doubt. Because then you're like Lucas said, don't leave it in the hands of the officials. Like either win or lose on your own. Yeah, going for it. I think it was a 3rd and 4 with about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It's ballsy. That's gutsy. I don't think I would have kicked for the field position.
I don't like.
But here's the thing. I want to say, like we mentioned Jameer Thurman, but in the podcast with Doubles, to me, the number one free agent the Riders need to re-sign for next year, it's not Trevor Harris. To me, it's Jameer Thurman, because he's the rock of that defense. He's what holds it all together. So that's my priority number. All those free agents, that's the guy that you have to sign.
That's going to be real interesting, and it gives us something to talk about over the next little bit. Ron and Deb, Pigeon Lake, thanks for all the texts throughout the year, too. They said Bombers played their best game in about 2 years. That could be, right? They could be on there. You walk before you run. Riders' next step gets taken in 2025. We'll be in Vancouver, though, for my 35th Grey Cup. Deb's been to 20-plus cups. Okay, go and buzz. Have fun. We got a few more texts coming in. Again, text away, Capital Ford Lincoln text line, 936-6262. You can call that number too if you're local, and then the 1-866-767-0620. You can be like Derek, cruising to Tisdale. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to bring Dave Thomas in. We got some clips from Randy Ambrosie speaking today in his farewell State of the Union, call it what you want, New Kids on the Block style. We'll hear from Randy when we come back. It's the all-new Sports Cage, streaming at sportscage.com, and as always on 620 CKRM.
The all-new Sports Cage is brought to you by Sherwood Co-op Liquor Stores. Now open in Harbor Landing and Rochdale Boulevard.
Every Sunday morning, wake up to country music legends on 620 CKRM. Sunday Morning Classics. Celebrate the legends that paved the way and define the heart and soul of country music. Relive the unforgettable classic hits and the legacy of country's greatest artists. Join us this Sunday and every Sunday as we honor the icons who brought country music to life. It's a journey through the rich history of country music. Sunday Morning Classics for Regina Funeral Home and Cemetery. Sundays at 8 a.m. on the Voice of Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM.
When you shop at Sherwood Co-op, you're contributing to your community
while building equity and putting money back in your pocket.
Others may claim to be local, but Sherwood Co-op is truly local.
Rooted in your community for over 90 years.
They're a proud Saskatchewan company
who continue to support hundreds of community organizations each year.
Like the Neonatal Intensive Care Unit at the Regina General Hospital and the Cancer Foundation of Saskatchewan.
We are members.
We are owners.
We are Sherwood Co-op.
The next item up for auction is entry to the Canadian Western Exhibition. We'll open up the bidding at $25. $25. Who will give me 20? $20 bid, 20. Do I hear $10 bid? Who will give me $10? $10. Who will give me $0? $0 bid, $0. Going once, $0 going twice. Sold for $0.
Connexus members get free entry to the Canadian Western Exhibition. Pick up your multi-day pass at any Connexus branch.
And now diving for Team Rat.
Barry, get down from there.
Why? The family left an entire pot of gravy out here just cooling in the garage.
I know, but it's not for us. Just because they won't call Busy Bee and get their garage door fixed doesn't mean we should take such liberties.
Okay. Whoa! 10 points.
Call Busy Bee Doors. They can fix or replace any commercial or garage door.
Just get out of there. We just won't tell them.
Busy Bee Doors, the garage door specialists.
The all-new Sports Cage is live streaming from our Century Studios in downtown Regina. Watch now at sportscage.com. Be part of the show by texting 306-936-6262. 620 CKRM.
Rough Riders, plunge right through that line. March the ball on down the field, a touchdown every time. Oh, Rough Riders, fight on for your fame. Fight, fellows, fight, and we will win this game.
It's not the last time we're playing that song. Until next season, I'll tell you that much. I'm going to play it often just because it's so catchy. It's the all-new Sports Cage. Welcome back. Shink, Maz, Dave Thomas going to be joining us here. You had a question? Why am I wearing my Patriots hoodie? Because they actually won.
Well, I know that. When that song would have come out, so you would have been able to get that probably on LP and probably on 8-track, right? Because keep in mind, if somebody has that on 8-track, that's a collector's item. We should actually buy that from them. My mom still has the stereo in the basement that is the record player, 8-track, and radio all together in one. Now, there's a bunch of junk on top of it, but that, and I bet you when my brother and I have to carry that out of the basement, I bet you it's 400 pounds.
Just break it down. Or if you want it, collector guy, you got to come and get it out of the basement yourself. We have a portable one. I'll post it when I'm at home at Christmas time. I'll post it, and then I pop Metro, the Christmas 8-track in. But the only sketchy thing, Dave's laughing right now. Can you bring Dave in a 3-box
here? Bring in Dave.
I'm telling you right now, guys. This is where it gets scary. Couple of Christmases ago, the sisters and I in the sauce were popping in different 8-tracks. Ate them. The machine ate them. You got to be real careful.
You probably need the head. You can't go by the 8-track head cleaner anymore. And the other thing too, Barney, and keep in mind, a lot of similarities. We have not only the Metro 8-tracks, we have the albums as well. And what's the Christmas Carol? Is it something Rubber Boots, right?
12 Days of Christmas.
Just a second. I'm going to Google this.
12 Days of Christmas.
The CNC Production Factory, they're so lost right now.
And a bowl of sour cream for me. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Well, Christmas is around the corner. Hey, I want to get to this. Hey, Ritz C, thanks for the text message, by the way. He says, let it slide. Riders are done for the season. We're a 3-hour sports show, bud. Try and wrap 3 hours in a day, especially 2 days after losing a West final without talking Riders. We would get a run out of the building. But anyway, work on a cover for our stadium. More people will come to games, plus more events, music, concerts. We'll put Regina back on the map in any event, not just CFL. Okay, so here's the problem. I talked to a guy about this that is way smarter than me, that went to school for like 11 years, like a major engineer. Super smart guy. When they were building the stadium, he said, do you know how much it would cost to heat that building in the winter with a roof on it? I was like, obviously, no, I don't. He's like, the city would possibly go broke.
Well, and this would be pre-carbon tax. Could you imagine now, like you could tack on another 35%?
And then you have to, if you've ever gone to a big stadium in the state, anywhere hot, it gets hot here in the winter, fellas. And yeah, you can open up that roof, but if it's just like Glendale, the small roof, you still got to have the air conditioning pumping because there's just not enough air circulation. So then you got to start worrying about cooling it. We don't have that kind of money. And like you said, carbon tax, a head of lettuce is $5 or $6.
Good. We can talk about this because yesterday I got sent out for a head of lettuce and it was $5. So anybody that wants to be like, oh, the world is fine. No, it's not. $5 lettuce, the world is not fine. You can tell everything about the world we live in by going to the grocery store. Thank you, $5 lettuce.
I agree. Dave, Dave. Do you want to chime in on anything? How's it? What are you going to the grocery store for these days? What's chapping your hide?
Oh, not much. It's a pretty quiet time all of a sudden. I'm just trying to get caught up on Love It or List It Vancouver.
We're into the Hallmark Christmas movies at this house around here.
Oh,
I hate those. I hate those movies with a passion.
Oh,
I hate them.
Legit. When Harry was on last week with me, we talked 35 years of Degrassi Junior High. So what did I do Friday night? This is how exciting my Friday night was. I went onto the IPTV. I have the 24/7, and it just runs 24. Like you can sit down and watch anything from the A-Team to Little House on the Prairie to Dallas, and then it has movies. There's like 5,000 channels. Of course, they got a 24/7 Degrassi Junior High. Yick cheating on his exam. Mr. Radich caught him. Life lessons. And then yesterday, I hope she's listening. What time is it? She's not even done school yet. Yesterday, it's the Wheels going to see his dad in Port Hope, Mike and the Drifters, and the vacuum salesman in the car. And my wife was like, I can't believe you'd want to watch this. That's disgusting. I'm like, it is part of our childhood. She's like, that's weird. And I'm like, oh, Mrs. S, beat it. Went downstairs and watched it.
Wow.
So, Dave, about that football game on the weekend.
How about that thing? You know, I've had a lot of time to kick back and reflect about it. And, you know, a number of things have been going through my mind. I've never seen a team as shaken up, whether it be an amateur team or now a professional team, as the Saskatchewan Roughriders were after that loss. Obviously, there was a lot of time, effort, and character that went into the season that was for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And it was really interesting to see the reaction following the game. And the one thing that kind of stuck in my head at the end of it all was, let's rewind back to November of last year, where for a second consecutive season, the Saskatchewan Roughriders missed the playoffs. And if you said, okay, we're going to be bringing in an entirely new coaching staff with a lot of new faces, would you have taken having a playoff game? And probably the answer would have been yes. And then, hey, you know what? You're going to miss your starting quarterback for a third of the season, but you're going to get a home playoff game. Would you have taken that? The answer likely would have been yes. And then if you looked at it and said, you know what? We're going to be down to 12 or 13 different starting offensive linemen, but you know what? You're a wind gust away from finishing first in the West Division. Would you have taken that? The answer would be yes. But, of course, the thing that's going to sour that is the fact that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers came out and proved that they're a dynasty. And I hate to say that with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the rivalry, but the numbers are there. Like, they can go ahead and they can win their third Grey Cup in 5 seasons here on Sunday. And they just came and they proved what they were. And they showed the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the rest of the CFL what it's going to take to get to their level.
You know, we talked about it last week in that chess game that comes when you play football. And it's a lot of times. It goes down, Dave, to your days playing for Weyburn in 91 when you got the sweet jacket. Or I remember in high school getting out-coached for the exact same reason that possibly we lost this game. Evan Hardy didn't show us what they were going to do to us all year. And then come playoffs, they put in this defensive game plan and we couldn't pivot. And I don't know if that's necessarily the case. Bob from Regina is on the text line here. I don't know why the Rider coaching staff didn't change the defensive strategy after getting burnt on the long ones and the blitz. Blitz the QB, and give Henderson some help. Love the job Mace did, but he looked like a rookie coach at times. That could be a fair comment because he is a rookie head coach. So what do you do? So then you go and you show that you're going to play deep. Then they're just going to run the ball down your throat, or they're going to nickel and dime you down low. So you have to scheme and you have to hide it, especially on how, again, this is just what I'm thinking, on how they were firing on all cylinders, and they almost knew exactly what the Riders were going to do offensively and defensively. It was one of those games. Like, you have to applaud them, Dave, no?
Yeah, you do have to applaud them, but I don't think that you would necessarily have to suggest that the Saskatchewan Roughriders were out-coached. I don't know that I'd go that far. Now, granted, the schemes that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers brought and executed to the field were very, very good. To me, the execution level wasn't just where it needed to be for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and the game comes down to a handful of plays, right? And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers hit a couple of deep shots that really forced the Saskatchewan Roughriders to get doing things that they were uncomfortable doing. And by that, I mean maybe trying to turn away from the run game that they were anticipating playing, maybe going ahead and executing or implementing a certain defensive lineup or strategy that they didn't necessarily want to coming in, but they had to read, react, and adapt to that. And unfortunately for the Riders, it was a learning lesson all the way around. And from top to bottom, nobody is pointing at any fingers.
No, I wouldn't necessarily say out-coached. There was times for sure. I think it was out-schemed too. Like Winnipeg just came with something that we weren't expecting, and then was it, could we not pivot and change and adapt? I don't think Winnipeg played so good. Gomez.
They did. And on some of those long touchdowns, Darian pointed this out when we were doing the pod. Those long touchdowns, and Dave, I don't know if you noticed this, they brought in a tight end set, and then they ran deep, and that's what threw us off because they hadn't run that all year. And so when they brought in that extra block, you think it's a run to Oliveira. So, of course, everybody is pulled up tight to the line thinking, so first down Oliveira. No, and then that's where they went to Lawler twice. So on the rewatch, or if you see the all 24, that's what they did. And that's where some of the confusion came in. And that maybe it's not out coaching Barney, maybe out schemed on a couple of plays where they were able to show a wrinkle and you thought you saw something. And then the next thing happened. And you got to give it up to Lawler, too, for being a good athlete to get himself wide open, and then hang on to those balls, because the Winnipeg receivers, they don't drop touchdowns. They catch touchdowns. And Hamilton, Edmonton, us to a degree, that's kind of been on our undoing. When we've had our chances, we didn't capitalize. And Winnipeg were able to start to finish on those plays, capitalize.
One of those things, though, too, about making the big catch at the right time, I think comes to experience, and you can't teach and you can't coach experience. And let's face it, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have been here now, right? 5 consecutive times. So they were able to draw upon that experience. And this is one that, again, the Roughriders have not been in the postseason for the past 2 years. And some of that inexperience showed a little bit as well. And again, just learning how to make that big catch at the right time. Like, I understand there's a lot of people that are upset with Keyshawn Johnson, suggesting he should have made a catch in an end zone. Well, it was right off his fingertips. He was adjusting to the ball in the flight, and there was a little bit of wind, and I go, I'm not going to make that excuse or that factor. And it would have been great if he made the catch. It would have been an extraordinary catch because he was also contending with the end line. But again, I think you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater in this one. You say, okay, you know what? You've gained that experience. You know what it takes. And now we'll see next year when it comes to Keyshawn Johnson, can he make those catches? Because there's some that he'd like to have back. There's some incredible catches, though, that he made along the way as well. And I'll be very curious to find out how his evolution as an athlete comes.
Marcus Sayles wants that game back, guaranteed. The letting Terry Wilson escape
in the 50, yeah.
He wants that one back. There was another missed tackle there. Again, it happens. But he definitely wants that game back. Amari Henderson, I don't know. Dave, you watch more of it in and out than I do. But there was always a player that maybe you can exploit. You know his tendencies. So like Maz says, you bring in that tight end set, you're baiting him, right? You're baiting him. Okay, let's make him flinch. And then maybe that's what they schemed, and it worked to perfection, because maybe Amari's just a little aggressive. And there's always that corner that's aggressive. It's a good thing a lot of times, right? It was Brandon Browner for the New England Patriots, and they had to figure out how to work around him, and Rivas on the other side. So, yeah, Marcus Sayles would definitely want that game back.
Well, the entire defense wants the game back. Again, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers did things to the defense that nobody else could do, right? Just the second time this season that the Riders have a 100-yard rusher go against them, right? And the other one was way back when they lost that one at home to the Edmonton Elks, who came in and just ran all over them. And again, this is where the veteran experience comes in a little bit. Brady Oliveira said, I'm ready to run. I'm excited to exploit the things that I've seen on tape. Well, guess what? I'm a human being. I hear you say that, and I see you lining up on the line with an extra tight end or whatever the situation may be. And I'm thinking, okay, they're committing to the run, away we go, and then they don't, right? So to me, that's just the gamesmanship. That's the experience that will be gained from this. And again, you look at Amari Henderson, you look at Marcus Sayles, you look at Nelson Lecomte. The secondary works as an entire unit, and if it's a bust, it's usually not just one guy. It's usually miscommunication or something that's happened along the way. So, again, for Amari Henderson, he's been battling for his job all year, and he won the right to start in the playoff game over Deontay Williams as the two of them battled back and forth all season long. And on the other side, Marcus Sayles, I tell you, if I'm in charge of football operations, which Rider Nation, you're pretty happy I'm not, but I would tell you that Marcus Sales is a leader that I would definitely want back on my ball club, no matter where it is.
Absolutely. He had a bad game, unfortunately, or maybe a game that he wants back, like I said, but it was just at the worst time. And that happens because it's not a 7-game series. It's not a 5-game series. It's one game. And you do get exposed when other parts of the cog breaks down, right? It, like you said, it's the ultimate team game. There is no doubt about it. Eli chiming in. Eli, don't keep texting because I love when you text. And yeah, you're negative, but I still love you. Riders need better American receivers who don't drop the ball. Too many drop balls. Our receivers are too slow. Eli.
Well, we do.
I disagree.
We do need that speed. Well, no,
weren't we good? Weren't we good against BC?
Yeah,
we did all right.
Here's the thing. Yeah, here's the thing that I wish that I would have loved to see, but we don't make the schedule. Down the stretch, it would have been if we would have ended up playing either Winnipeg, Montreal, or Toronto, who arguably are kind of the 3 other best teams outside of us. It would have been a real measuring stick as to kind of where we were. Now, your schedule is your schedule. And if I'm the CFL schedule maker, Riders on Labor Day and Bombers, then the Banjo Bowl, and forever going forward, you always play 3 games, and that last game of the season would be against Winnipeg. And I know a lot of people, they're like, we had both guys, AJ Oled and Arquel Armstead, because of just the way that it worked out. They combined for 56 yards on 12 carries because the Riders had to go away from the run game because they needed to catch up because the Bombers were scoring touchdowns. Yes, we had the Thunder and Lightning. We had that double combo, but the game didn't dictate. Now, when it was 14-6 and we seemed like we started to go away from the run game, Dave, I still thought that there was time left if we wanted to be patient. But it's hard to be patient when you're not scoring touchdowns and you're kicking field goals. Like, it's easy to armchair quarterback that.
100% true. And just the atmosphere in that building, right? It already put the momentum on the side of the hometown team. And I think the Riders were looking for a response to try to gain some of that momentum back on their side, which maybe led at times to being over aggressive. And that's just my own personal analysis. So I don't know. But here's an interesting one. Go back in time when they used to play series in the playoffs, right? What would happen if this was a 3-game series between the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers? So game 2 is back at Mosaic Stadium. Is anybody not going to say that this series is going the distance to 3 games?
For sure. But
there would have been messages sent in that 4th quarter then.
Yeah, there would have.
There would have been messages sent. Make sure they got a tough time getting off that plane when they come back for game 2. The running game, Maz, I kind of agree. But like I said with my Tecmo Bowl reference, it's like Winnipeg just picked the play. They knew what we were doing. And then it wasn't there. Like, what was Harris in the first quarter? Was he like 2 of 6 for like 11 yards or something?
2 of 6. Yeah, because he ended up 25 for 44 for 283 and 1 TD, which kind of seemed, but some of that was garbage time in that last drive. But Claros on the other side was an efficient for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, 482 of offense. And the Harris stats were a little misleading because it was a really tough first and second quarter where we just couldn't get anything going.
Dave, to your point, I think it was that you said that they had 2 weeks to game plan and watch tape and figure it out. I felt that was so evident on their offensive side of the ball to our zones. It's almost like the receivers had watched so much tape, where to check down, where to read a zone and just sit. Like on the 1 touchdown. It was so obvious. He just didn't finish the route. He sat down, boom, ball was off. So that I felt that whatever they game planned against the Riders zone worked to perfection. Closing comments, anything? We got McGuire standing by here to talk Mitchell Bowl. Dave, what?
It was a heck of a ride, and I think that Rider Nation, we should appreciate that, right? And I fully believe and understand that the foundation is in place. Now the building blocks have to continue forward, right? So that the progression is there and we don't experience a regression, and that's going to be very key with what Jeremy O'Day has to do over the next few months when he's putting together the roster, along with the consultation of Kyle Carson and, of course, head coach Corey Mace as to who's going to be here next year and what it's going to look like. And I think that's a great foundation has been set. Now I just need to take a step forward from it.
Rod just texted in. We don't need drastic changes. Yeah, there's going to be some changes. There's always changes. But like I said at the start of the show, do we not like where we are compared to last year and compared to where Edmonton is, Calgary is, Hamilton is? I'd even throw Ottawa in there. I'd throw BC in there. Are we not happy where we are? Tweak it a bit, right? But we're in a good spot. Chakai.
Everybody wants something, and they'll never give up.
We got to talk Metro. We need more Metro. Dave, go get some rest. We are going to bring you on this week, though, because we want to talk about the Grey Cup. And I'm not going to get into the Arbuckle. I'm not going to get into all that today. We got like 3-4 days to see how this plays out. But you want to, go do your thing, Dave. Thanks, buddy.
Have a good one, guys.
Right on. It's the All New Sportscage, and we come back right after the break. Maz and I are going to talk to voice of the Regina Rams, Brennan McGuire. What happened in Saskatoon? The Rams upset the Huskies. Stick it to them at Griffith Stadium, and they're on to the Mitchell Bowl to take on the Laval Rouge Or. It's the All New Sportscage. Watching that stream, sportscage.com.
Choose your prize or take the cash. It's the Leroy Leisure Lotto. Grand prize is your choice of leisure package. Choose your truck, camper, and recreation vehicle or take the $130,000 cash, plus 30 bonus draws and the 50-50 add-on. Deadline to purchase your tickets is Friday, November 22nd at 8 p.m. All draws made Saturday night, November 23rd. No early bird, no second chance, just more chances to win. Call 1-866-925-3769 or visit Leroy.ca.
Lotto license LR240096.
Your friends at Prairie Gun Traders in Avonlea have exactly what you need this fall. From muzzle loaders, rifles, to shotguns, you are totally covered this hunting season. Plus, browse through their great selection of ammunition, optics, calls, trail cams, scents, knives, and more. The hunting store that has it all. At Prairie Gun Traders in Avonlea. You have a friend in the game. Main Street, Avonlea, or check out prairieguntraders.ca.
Welcome back to the all-new Sports Cage. Get social with us. Follow us on X at Sports Cage. Watch our video stream at sportscage.com and always on the radio at 620 CKRM.
We have football on Saturday at Mosaic Stadium, and I think a lot of people it kind of blew their minds that it was like I tweeted out Spiro warm up the ovens as a joke. To get the pizzas going, because it is the U of R Rams and Laval in the Mitchell Bowl Saturday. Let's bring him in. Voice of the Rams here on 620 CKRM. Brennan McGuire, 1914. I don't know where we want to start on this game, McGuire, but that defense, talk about timely. You've been watching it all year. Did it surprise you, or are you kind of like, no, I'm expecting, there's the pick I was expecting right there to catch or saw him back?
Yeah, that's a good question. When they fell behind 14-1 early in that second quarter, I wasn't so sure, but I didn't panic. As somebody, when I'm doing the broadcast, I try not to have a rooting interest. I just feel like you can call it better when you don't, but that's really hard to do, as you well know. And when they fell behind 14-1 early in that second quarter, I don't think that anybody on the Rams were panicking. Let's put it that way. I wasn't expecting that they were going to have the pick six. I just expected it will get better than this. It will get better than this. And it did. So maybe to answer your question, at no point in that game did I think they were going to get the doors blown off, even though that very easily could have happened when you're trailing 14-1 early in the first 18 minutes, and especially against a high-powered, high-octane offense like that Husky one is. It doesn't take much. It only takes one or two shots of Daniel Weeb streaking down the sidelines for them to add another touchdown or two.
But Brendan, these guys were 3-5. They weren't even supposed to be in the Hardy Cup, let alone going on to the Mitchell Bowl. So, like, what is McConkey doing saying, doesn't matter, guys? That regular season out the window. We're as good as anybody here.
Yeah, I think they felt that way coming into the season. I think, last year was kind of a throwaway year. That was kind of year 1 of 5. I like to break it down into, if you're thinking about where you are, what stage you're at. It was a rebuilding year. And when they found out they were hosting the Vanier Cup, there seemed to be an added sense of urgency. And I feel like they're more in like year number 4 now. They got those older junior players, in particular, Praise Odigan and Tarek Polius on the defensive line. And everything was great those first 2 weeks. But then that loss to UBC in week 3, where they had the 2 late fumbles, just took the wind out of their sails. It just seemed like the offense was never on the same trajectory at all. Like there were passes that they were hitting receivers' hands. They weren't being caught. There were other passers that were nowhere near the receiver, and they just could not get their passing game going if their life depended on it. But the defense was always right there. They only had one stinker. That was the 30-6 loss against Alberta, no less, the team that finished dead last in the entire conference. So you always knew it was right there. Usually when a team is right around 500, it's kind of a win one, lose one, win one, lose one. It was never like that way with these guys. They looked really good those first 2 weeks. Were competitive in week 3, and then they just seemed to bottom out. Morale was at an all-time low, and it seemed like they had this dip, and that dip has been coming up noticeably even since the game in Saskatoon 3 weeks ago, where they should have been eliminated. They lost that game, but you could see they were making headway on offense.
I bet you there's guys on that team. I was saying jokingly to my son, I'm like, yeah, they're not supposed to be here playing the like some of these guys told their adult safe hockey teams, yeah, I'll start like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I'll be there. Or their senior hockey teams that they're from small towns, but no, they're still playing football. It's amazing. And then we talked about it, amateur football. There's always something crazy that happens. And sure enough, I'm watching it with my daughter, and 3:15 left, the punt, and off the Huskies' foot, and Rams recover. And I'm like, exactly. That's what happens. But then that 3:15 where I'm kind of thinking, how do we salt this away? It still was nail-biter time for the Huskies there, McGuire. And then the field goal, the bobble on the field goal, which could end up being drastic on a number of different reasons. But it was like that 3:15, that was gut check time, and the team persevered and prevailed.
Yeah, it was really similar to what happened a week earlier in Winnipeg, wasn't it? Although there it was more the offense really coming through at the end.
Yeah.
But, even in the final moments, you just had a tough time believing. Like, let's say they make that field goal. Let's say it doesn't get bobbled and it goes through. You're feeling really good because you've got an 8-point lead. And it's a 1 score at most. Like, they've got to march the length of the field, etc. You just weren't. You had a feeling that they were going to figure it out because this defense was so dominant that to envision the Huskies marching the length of the field with under a minute to go just seemed unfathomable, which is crazy, right? Because, again, it only takes one shot. Daniel Weeb has to get loose on one shot, and he can go the length of the field. I think it's more a testament to just how dominant this defense has become in all areas. The pass rush is probably I'm going to say it's the best in Canada West by a mile. The secondary, you'd probably say the same thing, star-studded secondary. And even that linebacking core. Brandon Wong, the all-star, he tipped that one pick that went into Carson Sombach's hands for the game-winning pick 6. I mean, it's just, I've never seen a defense at this level so solid in all 3 areas, the pass rush, the linebackers, and the secondary.
So Saturday, we're going to have the Mitchell Bowl on 620 CKRM. Pre-game show goes at 1:30. 2 o'clock is the kickoff. Coming to the town, Laval Rouge-Or. They've been a powerhouse in university football in Canada for, well, Barney and Brendan, as long as I can kind of remember. Yeah, it's funny. I think those guys were paying NIL money before NIL money was a thing. They've always had different rules in Quebec. Yeah, maybe there's the odd 29-year-old player on the team, but don't question it. I think, to put it mildly, the Rams are going to have their work cut out for them because Laval is showing up. They're good. They're stacked. They beat a very good Montreal team who's won national champions. What's your pre-scouting report on this Laval club that's coming to town? Because obviously we don't see them at all because they're not on regional TV out here. You see highlights, and that's pretty much it.
You know what? I haven't seen much of them yet either. That'll be a lot of my homework this week to get ready for Saturday's broadcast. I'm told this quarterback, Desjardins, is amazing, but I had always been told that the quarterback from Montreal, Senecal, was amazing. They have played Montreal, the Montreal Carabins, or Carabin, however you want to say it, in 11 straight Dunsmore Cups for the Quebec Championship. It's kind of like the Hilltops and the Thunder here with the Prairie Football Conference. And to me, that's no fun for anybody, but it just gives you an idea that they don't have the parity out east that we have here. I think the Rams have probably had to face better competition than those teams have, but they're loaded. You're right. Like they've got, you think about it, Quebec City is an NHL-sized city, maybe not quite, that's debatable, but they don't have anything else. Like this is it. This is their big thing there. So they have a lot of resources and they're able to recruit. It's a massive province, 8 million people. They love the sport. They're going to be the Rams are going to face a tall order beating them. They're going to be heavy underdogs no matter who's at quarterback and no matter what the weather conditions are. What's intriguing about it is this is only the second time in their 28 seasons that Laval has existed that they've had to come out to Saskatchewan for a playoff game. The only other one was the 06 Vanier Cup.
We are going to hear from Coach Glen Constantine. They had their kind of pre-press conference today. I was able to ask a question. We're going to get to that. We're up against the clock here, McGuire. Thanks so much. Maybe we'll catch up later this week, and we'll talk about everything. This is just a wild ride for you, for the Rams. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for hopping on.
Thanks, guys.
Right on. Jacques Tanguay is the guy's name, Maz, that kind of started this Laval thing with the deep pockets. Let's talk about him in a bit. Let's take a quick break here. We're up against news. The all-new Sports Cage on 620 CKRM.
Hey, farmers, ranchers, and producers. The Acres for Education campaign by Agriculture in the Classroom Saskatchewan is challenging you to invest in your farm's future by donating to agriculture education. Students today are our future workforce and consumers. Your donation will get students out of the classroom, giving them real-life experiences that will shape their views on agriculture. Help inspire today's youth and build a resilient agriculture future. Donate at aitc.sk.ca/acres for education.
The all-new Sports Cage continues. You can watch our live stream at sportscage.com and always on the radio. Saskatchewan's voice for local sports, 620 CKRM.
I know you laughed because I kind of cut you off there. We had to go to that quick commercial break, but Jacques Tanguay was the guy's name. Like you said, there was they have the different rule there where they 30-year-olds, guys bringing their kids to the game, playing for Laval.
So for context, who is a very well-run, well-organized, well-funded senior hockey team? Like who's one of the best in the province? This is for context. Like who's a very...
That's a loaded question. Lumsden Monarchs.
Okay, so this Laval team they've got pro-type atmosphere at college level stuff, from facilities to training to anything they need and the money and the resources to go into it. Like there is nothing else, like Brendan said. So they are, and they have been. Now a lot of other teams have caught up. Now, have there maybe been the odd player along the way that maybe got a tank of gas or something, or a meal at Mary Brown's Fried Chicken? Maybe, possibly. We can't prove it. We can't say otherwise. But they're a good football team, and they're dominant. And yeah, like Brendan said, think Hilltops and Huskies. Pick either or, and this is the team that's coming to town. They're always in national contention.
We got, like I said, Glen Constantine talked about they have a young team. So that is the thing that I wasn't aware of. They are fairly young, and we're going to hear that in hour 2, his clips, but that doesn't mean anything. Like you said, these guys are picking from, and McGuire said, 8 million people. They're picking from a mass of massive pool, and now the kids want to play there so bad. They used to do that trip to Florida, and I don't think they are allowed to do it anymore. If anyone out there can confirm that, because that is one thing that got sniffed out. But they used to take the whole team to Florida for a spring camp, and they used to take them on buses. So they would bond for the 25 hours, probably go halfway, spend the night, not Imperial 400. I'm sure it was something a little nicer than that. And that's how they just built this franchise, and it's pro. So we're like so much to talk about this week about Laval and the Rams. The boys are telling us we got a break. It's news. On the other side, allegedly, Arash Madani is going to join us from Vancouver. If not, we keep going. We got SJHL report with Benny Walchuk. It is the all-new Sports Cage, streaming and watching it. Hammer that subscribe button at YouTube and sportscage.com.
It's 4 o'clock. Good afternoon. It's mostly cloudy and it's 9 degrees in Regina. I'm Corey Atkinson from the Harvard Media News Center with 620 CKRM News for Sherwood Co-op. Proud supporter of our community with over 500 donations to local charities and nonprofits annually, and by Mercedes-Benz Regina for those who can. Mercedes-Benz-Regina.ca. Labour Minister Stephen McKinnon says he is intervening to end the work stoppages at ports in both British Columbia and Montreal after negotiations reached an impasse. He says the work stoppages are significantly impacting supply chains, thousands of jobs, and Canada's reputation as a reliable trading partner.
If these work stoppages go on, the impacts will only worsen and our well-earned reputation for reliability will be put at risk. Because of these impasses, more than $1.3 billion in value of goods is affected every day. Canada's economy is taking a hit.
McKinnon is directing the Canada Industrial Relations Board to order the resumption of all operations at the ports and move the talks to binding arbitration. Saskatchewan's police watchdog has released more details about a fatal single-vehicle crash in Moose Jaw last week. It says police got a call that there had been a physical fight before a silver Honda started chasing the caller's vehicle and driving erratically. The Serious Incident Response Team says there was a second call about the Honda shortly after, and an officer in an unmarked vehicle saw it speeding northbound on Main Street. Police found the Honda until it crashed, killing a 31-year-old male passenger and injuring the driver and another passenger. A public inquest into the death of a Saskatchewan inmate is to begin next month. The Saskatchewan Coroner's Service says the jury is to examine how Barry Fontaine died in his cell at the Prince Albert Provincial Correctional Centre in November of 2021. The jury may also make recommendations to prevent similar deaths. The union representing some Canada Post workers says they'll be in a legal strike position as of Friday if negotiated settlements have not been reached. The Canadian Union of Postal Workers gave the Crown Corporation a 72-hour strike notice. But the union says its National Executive Board has yet to decide if a job action will happen at the deadline. And even though it's only been a week since the election, U.S. President-elect Trump has tapped a few people to serve in his cabinet. Representatives in American Congress were chosen, like Elise Stefanik of New York for UN Ambassador and Mike Waltz of Florida for U.S. National Security Advisor. Reporter Selena Wang says Florida Senator Marco Rubio was also tapped to be the next U.S. Secretary of State, and that may conflict with what Elon Musk may be advising to Trump.
Elon Musk is someone who has deep ties, business ties in China. He is close to Chinese officials. He relies on China as a market to sell his Tesla, but also as a key production base for his EVs. So the expectation here is that Elon Musk could be a moderating voice in Trump's ear to push for a softer policy towards China. But on the other hand, the choice of Rubio and Waltz points to the fact that U.S.-China tensions are only going to get worse.
Some see Musk as the second most influential figure in Trump's immediate orbit after his campaign chief turned incoming chief of staff, Susie Wiles. That's your 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com. Your weather is next.
The luxury of Mercedes-Benz has never been more within reach with the fall demo event at Mercedes-Benz Regina. Save up to $32,000 on select models like the luxurious EQE 350. Get the premium performance and elegance Mercedes-Benz is known for, but with unmatched value when you choose certified pre-owned. Take advantage of the opportunity to experience the Mercedes-Benz you've always dreamed of, without compromise. Book your test drive at Mercedes-Benz Regina.
What type of vehicle should you use for a fall hayride?
I bet you're going to be punny.
An automobile?
Ugh. Whatever type of vehicle you drive, fuel up at Sherwood Co-op gas bars.
As a member, fueling up means
sharing in the equity.
Buy a car wash or some snacks from the C-store.
It's like putting money in the bank.
You better believe it.
Sherwood Co-op gas bars.
We are members.
We are owners.
We are Sherwood Co-op.
And now it's time for your 620 CKRM Precision Weather Forecast for Linex Regina. Serious protection, killer looks, 1865 McGuire Street, and brought to you by Wolf Industries, your truck repair specialist in Grenfell, servicing all sizes of trucks, SGI accredited. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of -3. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and a high of 8. Thursday, mostly cloudy with some late day showers and a high of 8. And on Friday, partly sunny and a high of 6. At this hour in Moose Jaw, it's mostly cloudy. Winds are from the northwest at 28 and it's 8 degrees. Regina is also mostly cloudy. Winds are from the northwest at 22 and it's 9 degrees. For more local news that matters to you, subscribe to the daily newsletter at sasktoday.ca.
Whether Smokey's after you or not, when you're on the road in your big rig, you're in a hurry to get to where you're going, and you need a part shop you can trust. Wolf Industries is the premium choice. They're your family-run truck mechanic shop with a full line of parts for big semis, with certified AC technicians for the hot summer. Stop in at their Grenfell location for all the parts and repairs you need. They're SGI accredited for safety inspections and have 24-hour emergency call-out. Wolf Industries, the best for your truck. 10-4.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line-X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line-X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line-X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line-X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line-X. Make your truck complete. 1865 McGuire Street.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents the all-new Sports Cage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Sask Lotteries, bringing communities together. Sask Lottery products fund over 12,000 sports, culture, and recreation groups across Saskatchewan. Be a part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The all-new Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Welcome back to the all-new Sports Cage. Barney Shinkera, Chris Mazurek. Mazza to step aside for a second, so he'll join us in a bit. Keep the text messages coming. I'm just going through some of them here, fellas. 936-6262, Capital Ford Lincoln text line. Decent insight from Rider Nation, from people. Not too many people flying off the handle. Even you, Eli. I appreciate you. More cowbell, he says, on his last one. Lightening the mood. I like it. That's a leader. That's what I call a leader, Eli. Still more to come. I'm going to run down the high school provincial football championships one last time, Friday Night Light style. What a great weekend for football. If you're up at the Mitchell Bowl or at the Hardy Cup in Saskatoon, did it look nice up there too for football in November. We'll get to more on the Mitchell Bowl coming up in a bit, but it's time to go to Vancouver.
The all-new Sports Cage and Coast to Coast with Arash Madani is brought to you by Smart Investing Solutions. Be smart with your money. Call Brian Golly at Smart Investing Solutions, 546-2533.
Patriots win, so Barney wears Patriots gear on Tuesday. How about that, Arash? I know you're in Vancouver and you want to talk Grey Cup, but how about some love from the boys from Boston? Wow, no one saw that. Even I didn't see that. I didn't even gamble on them.
And what ends up happening, you got the offensive coordinator of the Bears fired. So congratulations. You know, just a complete grease fire in Chicago and you lose to New England. But they put up 3 points on your Pats? Is that what it was?
Yeah. Boys are good. Boys are buzzing. Okay, so what's going on? Where do you want to start first? Do you want to start with Ambrosi and the press conference he had today?
Sure. A few takeaways. One, he admitted that franchise valuations have been flat. The other is he admitted that revenues haven't, what he kind of aspired in 2017 when he took over, revenues haven't gotten to where he wanted. So you can look at a lot of different reasons as to why Randy Ambrosi won't be the commissioner next year. But what do owners like, Barney? They like to make money. And when you see, franchise valuations across sports skyrocketing and the CFLs remain flat, and the fact that new revenues aren't coming in, that's the writing on the wall right there for the ousting of a commissioner, right?
Yeah, I got a take on that. What's your take on? I think he oversold and wasn't in the right frame when he talked about expansion. And I know he tried really hard. I don't know how hard he worked behind the scenes, but that's probably those comments he would want back.
I would say that Randy Ambrosi's tenure can be summed up as the ultimate overpromise and underdeliver. When it came to expansion, when it came to the global program, when it came to all the different initiatives he had in mind, when it came to playing games in Mexico, that was 2018's Grey Cup. His first one in 2017, he talked about a new stadium in Calgary. None of these things have happened. We're talking about a league where their stats program, basic stats programs, weren't really functional. And so I really believe that they wanted to get the Atlantic thing to happen. They just didn't. It was a failure. There's no other way of putting it.
How so to make expansion happen though, you need somebody with massive pockets. Isn't Jacques Tanguay? Sure. The Laval Rouge-Or was nah, because the stadium we have cannot be retrofitted. It cannot expand to host a CFL team. In Atlantic Canada, you're from there. I don't know enough. So maybe to give people context, how wealthy of a person would you need to basically just say, I'm kind of doing this. I'm doing this for a hobby and to bring this thing here as part of my legacy?
I would say you need to find the same people who are the owners in Ottawa. Because that's exactly what happened with Roger Greenberg and John Ruddy. The Ottawa Roughriders folded. The Ottawa Renegades folded. Ottawa was without a pro football franchise for a while, and they stepped forward and did it. I'll also say this, and I just believe that the CFL thought they were going to go into Atlantic Canada initially and run the show. And they got a real stiff arm to the jaw from the lawmakers there, from the politicians there. When the former mayor of Halifax told our friend Justin Dunk at 3 Down Nation, he said, I told Randy if he wants to play, he can come here. We have the parking lot of the Micmac Mall. He can play there. It's not just owners with deep pockets, and that's a big part of it, don't get me wrong. But how you play ball politically matters. Now, there is money out east. The Irving family is out east. The Olin family, the brewery, is out east. The Sobeys family is out east. I mean, there's some major power brokers there. It didn't happen. And Barney, I'll tell you this. I am 44 years old. As you mentioned, I grew up in Nova Scotia. I have been hearing about the idea of a CFL team in Halifax since I was in elementary school. And I got out of elementary school in 1991, and we're still talking about a CFL team in Halifax that has not come to fruition.
I think there was a Degrassi episode, actually, where they talked about a team coming to... Okay, what else is going on there that's exciting in Vancouver, kind of day one of Grey Cup festivities? I don't want to go too much into the game because we could talk about that later in the week, But what else are we missing here in Regina since we're not there?
Well, I'm at the stadium right now. I'm actually sitting on the what'll be the Blue Bombers bench. They just wrapped up practice about an hour ago. The Argos aren't going to practice today, which I find a little puzzling because of the Nick Arbuckle thing. Like, Barney is like, it's amazing how pro sports can work sometimes. Nick Arbuckle, like free agency hit in the middle of February. Nick Arbuckle was without a job for 100 days. It wasn't until the second week of training camp that Toronto signed him, only because Chad Kelly got suspended for the 9 games. And now you fast forward to November, and Nick Arbuckle's going to start in the Grey Cup. So Arbuckle has not taken first-team reps with the ones in a practice since week 2 of the 2023 season with Ottawa. So I thought the Argos would just come out today and get, something going. They're not. But I think, to me, that's the question of this week is, one, how Arbuckle can basically cram for this final exam, and 2, what the Argos defense is going to show that they haven't to try and slow down the Winnipeg offense.
I am very curious to how you game plan now to manage the game, much like Dinwiddie did for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers against the Saskatchewan Roughriders way back when. Okay, I'll ask you this, and then we'll leave the Arbuckle thing. Right now on Tuesday, your gut, your head, do you think that he can be serviceable enough to get the job done in a 1-game football championship with the supporting cast that he has?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I think it's very unlikely, but this is not a best of 7. It's not a best of 5. It's a best of 1 against a Winnipeg team. I get they're double-digit favorites, but guess what? They were the overwhelming favorite last year against Montreal. They were the favorites the year before against, Toronto. Look, last week, that's the best the Blue Bombers offense has looked in the playoffs in, I don't know, maybe in a long time, since pre-COVID. But look, weird things can happen. Passes get deflected, balls get stripped, kicks get returned for touchdowns. In a 1 game, it can happen. I don't think it will, but it can.
Who's to say that all the Winnipeg Blue Bombers finish the game? It's football. It's 1 game, like you said.
Yeah.
So many things can happen. 10.5 points for a championship game. I'm not going to put a lot of units on it, but I'm going to sprinkle on the Argos, covering that. In closing, what we're talking, and we have had a couple calls, and we're taking text messages here from Rider fans on kind of post-mortem, as it is Tuesday. We give yesterday to the vets. We don't have a show. What would you say to Rider fans as a guy looking from Toronto but covering the league, seeing where this team is this year compared to last year? What kind of context would you put it in, Arash?
Well, definite progress. Home playoff game, getting to a West Final. But I think when you look at the roster, there are serious areas that, are obvious where they need upgrading. Some are easier to address than others. The Riders need at least 1 home run hitter as a receiver. And I think, Barney, you and I have talked about this since the middle of the summer. The hardest position to find, besides, or maybe along with quarterback, is offensive tackle. I think if they could find a real offensive tackle, I don't know if you addressed that in free agency or not, that would be a help. I think they found a couple of guys. People I talked to around the league talk about Logan Ferland, and as a guy. And you just hope 2 things. 1, Trevor Harris can stay healthy next year. 2, Trevor Harris doesn't take a step back. Because if he can continue to play at the level, and maybe even a little bit more, a little bit of a higher level, I think they're going to be okay. Barney, and I mean this sincerely. Look, I get that Winnipeg's now in its 5th straight Grey Cup. The West is still up for grabs. And the Riders didn't play particularly well, and the Bombers did. So I think but you got to start all over again. So let's see. But I don't think the Riders are as far away as we would have said at this time last year.
All right, let's regroup, and we'll hit you back on Thursday. We'll see how everything's shaken down. Really curious to watch for you to watch the Argos practice and what kind of tidbits you grab from that, Arash.
All right, thanks, bud.
Okay, see you later. Coast to Coast with Arash Madani for Brian Gawley, Smart Investing Solutions. Yeah, that's going to be 10.5 points. A championship game. I know you guys don't gamble, but that is a huge number.
Vicariously through you, we gamble.
Yeah. What would you like me to place a wager on the Toronto Argonauts at 10.5 to cover that spread? Hey, keep in mind, Winnipeg's been the heavy favorite before, like last year. I don't know. Grey Cup does weird things. Championship games do weird things.
Yeah, I think it depends if Winnipeg comes in with. Are they coming in with confidence or cockiness? Right? Because they're hearing that they're 10.5 point favorites. Are they coming in expecting this just to be a runaway?
I think there's a lot of guys on that team that got embarrassed last year. So I would hope.
And they got embarrassed this year too when they were on their slide and guys weren't happy about not getting the ball and stuff like that too, right? Like we were shown early this year that they're human too, right?
Speak for yourself though, Barney. I love to gamble, but I hate to lose. So gonna have to say Winnipeg on this one.
We really need Curtis's chime in sponsored on the show. Some of the stuff that comes out of your mouth. When we come back, let's recap some of these text messages that are coming in. Solid. I appreciate it. Phone line still open if you want to have a chat. 866-767-0620. And then I'm going to run down high school football landscape from this past weekend, who won provincial championships. It's the all-new Sports Cage. If you are watching the stream in my Patriots hoodie because they won somehow again this weekend, it's at sportscage.com.
The all-new Sports Cage is brought to you by Bronco Plumbing and Heating, where professional service is guaranteed. They'll treat you right. 781-2090.
Water heater and water softener rentals are now available at Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Instead of paying big money up front, you can rent a water heater and water softener directly from Bronco without the worry or hassle. They have a long history of renting water heaters and water softeners, and they're maintenance-free. Bronco comes and does all that for you. Saskatchewan's best water heater rentals are from Bronco. Call 306-781-2090. Professional, courteous service. BroncoPlumbing.com.
Looking for a way to relax after a long day? Come on. Tired of being notified by life's bells and whistles?
Yeah, I'm gonna need that draft tomorrow.
When you're ready to stop working so hard, you know it's time to play. Yes. It's easy to find your next favorite game at Bodog.net. Play free casino games, check out our beginner's guides, and get poker tips. Visit Bodog.net today. #Make a play.
The wait is finally over. Year-end clear-out is back at Capital Ford Lincoln. Get savings up to $20,000 on all remaining 2024s like the Ford F-150 or Ford Bronco lineup. Drive away today with $0 down and no payments until next year. Plus, we have a giant selection of pre-owned trucks and SUVs. You're going to find the perfect vehicle for you. It's finally back. Year-end clear-out at Capital Ford. CapitalFordLincoln.com.
You'll get the gist of it? Will I? Does a gist have to be given? Can I just take a gist? You know what can be really tough to get the gist of? Saskatchewan winter driving conditions. But at least your local Cooper tire dealer carries Cooper Evolution winter tires. Cooper Evolution winter tires provide exceptional grip and traction in the snow and ice. See your local Cooper tire dealer for Cooper Evolution winter tires. They'll help you get the gist of winter driving.
Welcome back to the all-new Sports Cage. Connect with the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262.
Low blow on the Capital Ford Lincoln text line from KD. Curious what what was the spread when the undefeated Patriots were versus the Giants in the Super Bowl? Yeah. You guys like that? Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. I'm actually trying to look it up. Cole, so maybe you can look it up. Was it 12? Something like that. Something weird. I wasn't in member of Sprinkletown back then as much, but I don't remember. Colson looked that up. But good low blow at 10.5. Argonauts. I think a lot of you out there, right? You're going to hit that line with what Winnipeg's shown in the past, although Winnipeg looked damn good on the weekend.
The over-under was 55, and the spread was -12 for the Patriots.
Yeah, see? -12. Nice helmet catch. The only person that showed up in the game, this is from Leonard, was the kicker. You might want to abandon running on first down when you're 2 touchdowns behind. That's what Maz was kind of talking about. When you're 2 touchdowns behind, at what point in the game? Like, I think still up until the second quarter, I think you still can go there. Personally, how I would coach it, I think you still have to. Opens up, A, you want to wear them down. B, it opens up play action. And you should be able to get serviceable yards. Winnipeg, they knew the play that was coming. Like Lawrence Taylor on Bo Jackson and the first Tecmo.
And you can have a quarterback run 48 yards on a 3rd and 1.
Jeez, Marcus Sales. That one's going to sting him for a long time.
That's like Mike Thomas was saying when we had him on last week.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about the last Vanier Cup that the Rams were in. And he had that marching down the field, about to score. They throw the interception, and he has to chase the guy all the way 110 yards in the snow. Those are the ones that you stick with you.
Well, there's a really long message here, Colson. You might want to look at that. We can chat about it at a break. High school football. I'm going to play the fancy music, but it was for Regina Motor Products all year. Thanks to them for sponsoring Friday Night Lights, it was called. $20 off. Tire changeovers. Still, a lot of you are running your spring-summer tires. You can because there's no snow here. See when that comes, how quick you all are lining up to get them changed. It's inevitable. It is going to come, right? St. Joe's dumped Regina Campbell in the 6A championship, 56-16. Don't know what happened in that game. Didn't get a chance to see it, but congrats to St. Joe. Congrats to Campbell on a heck of a year. Talking to Kelly Adams the last few weeks is great, getting some insight on that Campbell team. So congrats to them. Still city champ. Can never take that away from you. PA Carleton, Bishop James Mahoney from Saskatoon in the 5A 12-a-side. Get this score if you didn't catch it. A provincial final football game. PA 35, BJM 34. Wow. Down to the wire. So they're hanging a banner. You can't spell paradise without PA. Congrats to Carleton. Melfort, Tisdale, 86-27. Melfort. Congrats. You are the 9-a-side football. Man, they scored a lot of points. They beat Lumsden 63-42 as well. And 98-24 over Fort Capel in the first game. Melfort's a wagon. 6-a-side, 2A. Congrats to, no surprise here, Clavette. They dumped Waka 90-51. Good season for Waka. Good season for Clavette as well. We've heard a lot about that Clavette program. And then the 6-a-side 1A championship. It was Hafford and Hanley. And I'm going to tell you all, it was all Hafford. in this one. 74-22. Hafford provincial champs there. Congrats to everybody in the provincial final. Then I guess the bronze medal games. St. Brew won the 1A, 43-42. That was over Lemberg. Oh, what a close one. Bronze medal match. And then, unfortunately, the Highway 22 Storm, official six-a-side program of the Sportscage, they lost to Rosetown, 50-42. Another close one. That was fun, doing high school football for the last couple months. We'll do it again next year.
It was.
If we're still here. Oh, Maz is back. Maz, we got to call it?
And probably we got to, what? Are we taking more calls? Who called in the first hour? Was his name Derek?
Derek, on his way to Tisdale. We got Lawrence in Saskatoon calling in. Let's go to the Western Pizza hotline. Lawrence, what do you got?
Hey, Barney.
How are you?
Good, great show. Nothing like it in Saskatoon, so it's a great show. And I did try out for the Zit Remedy, but I got cut. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Triangle cowbell guy, triangle tambourine guy.
Snake, I guess, beat me out. So.
Tall drink of water. What do you think about the Riders season, Lawrence?
Well, Corey, if you watch the games this year compared to what they've had the last couple of years, and you don't want to, criticize the coaching staffs and all that, but didn't it feel like they had a chance to win every game? Some of those games at Dickinson, you're like, I don't think I'm going to watch today. And with Corey Mace, the players believed that they could win, and it made the fans believe they could win. Right, that's what I think this year was a difference between the last year and the few previous. And the play calling of Mark Mueller, I think I like the offensive play calling from him. I'm a razzle. I like seeing a little more razzle dazzle, a few of these hook and ladder maybe, just throw in a few wrinkles that the guys at work can talk about it the next day. Did you see that play?
Yeah, bounce pass.
The 60 bounce pass. There you go. But in the game, on the weekend, I just your best guys. I talk about this all the time. In a game where it's 1-0, your best guys got to be your best guys, right? And you take Oliveira. There's lots of factors better, and he was better than Olette. You take Caleres, he was better than Harris. Lawler, he was better than any of our receivers. So those three guys really, were better than all of our guys.
Do you run it back with Harris? Do you bring him back?
I think you got to get probably someone in there, though, maybe a backup. I think you go with Harris, but you got to get someone maybe a little bit more if he falters or if he gets hurt. We can't afford that 4 or 5 game streak where we kind of have nobody.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to try to get somebody. I mean, it's not easy to just pluck somebody out of the sky, but I worry about the injury part, right? Myers, he was hurt at the end of the year. I didn't even see any reports on him hardly, but when he played receiver, he did so well.
Dante Myers. No, Dante Myers was good, and Dante Myers is a guy that not only could play receiver, he could also be your return guy. If they decide to move on from Mario Alford, I think you need a guy that can play both positions because the rosters are so small. Because even look at Lucky Whitehead in that Winnipeg game. Yes, he did fumble a punt, which is not very Lucky Whitehead. But then in the third quarter, he's in at receiver and he makes a key catch. I don't think you can have room for just specialists on the team. You need guys that can play multiple positions. And I love Dante Myers. I loved him in preseason, and when he got on the roster, it's just too bad that he got hurt because as a guy that can take a top off a defense, which we don't have a lot of, he's one of the guys that could be in contention for that.
He might have been that home run hitter that we lacked late in the year then, right? That could have been a difference to stretch the defense. You guys talked about Marcus Sales earlier. Marcus Sales, I mean, you got him 2 days after he got cut from BC. We picked him up. I mean, he was that. Our secondary was a big improvement over the previous couple of years. I know, Henderson and who knows who was supposed to help over the top and what kind of coverage they were in there, but it made him kind of look bad. But our coverage throughout the year was 10 times better. Our secondary was so much better.
The only 2 games. Let's not talk about the Calgary game where people weren't in and it was a nothing game and it was like you're just getting your sticks and gas money and get out of Dodge. But the 2 games that we weren't in was that Edmonton debacle. That was an ugly game. And then this game on Saturday.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, they believed that they could win every game, and you could watch it. You watched it on TV every week, and you know, they had a chance every game, even when they lost. They lose 7 in a row. Those games were within some of those games a few plays here or there, right? A few more hook and ladders and some bounce passes, and you know, spice it up a bit more. Like, you know, those plays, they work, they do, and if they're executed, they work. I mean, I'm not a play caller like Mark Mueller, but you know, throw some wrinkles in there every once in a while. It makes it fun too, right? So
appreciate the call, Lawrence, and the kind words, and thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Lawrence in Saskatoon, you can have your say if you want. 1-866-767-0620. Another comment here, not on the Riders, Maz, but Ed Bankowski. It's a good football name right there. He's done a lot in the game. He said, how about the Sombach family influence on the U of R roster? 4 brothers on the roster. 3 were active in the roster Saturday versus the Huskies. 2 of them had an interception. 1 went for a touchdown. Yeah, that is amazing. We're going to talk about that as the week goes on. Father Steve played for the Junior Rams. I didn't know this nugget, though. Father Steve Sombach played for the Junior Rams in the 80s. Quite the contribution. Yeah, no doubt. Good message.
To have 4 boys, and yet all of them playing football at the same time on the same team, and that's crazy. Like, that would have to be like, that's something like an NFL pregame show. Like, Aaron Andrews would fly up here to do a bid on, to be like the Sombach family. And, you know, I mean, that's crazy, because I think Brendan put up after the game on social media, how many Sombachs does it take to win a Hardy Cup? And then there's all of them standing there as a family. And it's funny, this team, because they're playing with house money and there is no expectations at 3-5. Who knows? Watch out Saturday, and they're not probably supposed to beat Laval. They're going to open as underdogs, and you have no idea what's going to happen.
Oh, there might be a line on this one site I go to. Let me try and find it. But anyways, like I said earlier, they had the press conference with all 4 remaining teams today. Had a chance to hop on that Zoom. Glenn Constantine, head coach of Laval. Anyone that knows football in this province knows that name, Glenn Constantine from Laval. He opened it up with these comments.
We are 7-1 record this year with a very young team. I think we have less than 10 guys who have been in their 4th and 5th year on our team. So it's a very young team, very talented football team that we grew from week to week, and we actually were well prepared by the RSDQ competition. Obviously, when you have to play Montreal, the number one. They were number 1 ranked team for a part of the year. 3 times, and it come out winning twice and losing by 1 point. That's a very, very formative for our young team, and we're excited to travel to Regina. Last time we played Regina was in 2002. They had a John Ryan and a 5th-year quarterback. Was like very talented football team. So we're excited to compete and go out there and play our best football there. We have my player is Arnaud Desjardins, who's our 4th-year quarterback, law graduate, is his first year MBA. Did an outstanding season. I think he should be the comeback player of the year. Took care of the football. I mean, we just with 1 interception in regular season play and 1 in the playoffs. He's turned out to be quite a football player and quite a leader for our team, and we're excited to have him here on the press conference.
So the quarterback is a smart fellow.
Well, yeah, you probably don't have to worry. It's funny. It's never the quarterback I'm worried about in his GPA. You said you're already graduated law and you're working in your MBA. It's maybe some of the other guys. Maybe it's a backup D lineman. Nothing against you, D lineman, but maybe we take a peek at those transcripts. I don't know. Maybe you've just been attending classes on Zoom calls. And when the coach said back in 2002 and John Ryan, so would that have been the Darryl Leeson era quarterback Rams? Is that who we would have been talking about?
No, I think 2002 it was Anderson. Mark Anderson was maybe the quarterback. That was when the 2002, if that's what he said there, that's we had Mike Thomas in. That would have been that team. Leeson was the 2000 run, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but
man,
no.
Leeson was good. As far as like a junior quarterback and then a college quarterback, Darrell Leeson, it seemed like he played for 15 years, but he was so good no matter where he went. He could sling it.
Because we were up in Saskatoon, and yeah, they would come up and what was his receiver? Was Claremont his receiver for a bit there? But they would just come up and torch. His brother played, and it was like, oh yeah, Rams over the hilltops. And then it was like, oh, the Rams are going to CIS,
college
college
football,
ranks.
Yeah, because
and then they were like the first year.
This is their 25th year, yeah.
Yeah, first year they kind of weren't that great. And I think it was like the next year that Leeson came back from Calgary. And then it was like, oh boy, he's back. And then, yeah, he was so good. We're going to get him on the show this week. Going to reach out to him. But back to Coach of Laval, Glenn Constantine. He also mentioned this about the Rams and how they're kind of this underdog, shouldn't be here story.
They remind us of us in 1999 when we got hot in our first Vanier Cup victory. We upset Ottawa, and then we placed Saskatchewan Huskies, which was a team of the decade, and upset them and beat St. Mary. So it's bad. They're a good football team, and to be honest with you, from what we watch on film, it's a credit to coach where those guys play hard. They play hard and they play tough football, and they get every ounce of it. So basically, we're preparing like we're playing for the Vanier Cup anyway. So it's a football game. I know they're going. From what I saw, they're going to come play hard and they'll give us our best shots. So that's all we can. We're not going to play on our heels because they're getting hot at the right time.
Saying all the right things, of course, right? And any, like if you're watching the stream, you see him there, Glenn Constantine. Because anyone that knows football, as soon as you see his face, you're like, oh, I know that guy. Oh, that guy is part of that team that never loses, basically.
Mm-hmm.
We'll play a clip later. I asked him about the weather and coming to Saskatchewan because the last time he came in 2006 for the, I think it was 6 for the Vanier Cup, it was like minus 35. Played the Huskies.
Well, it's not going to be freezing cold, but a Saturday's forecast, periods of rain or snow and a high of 4 degrees. So Mother Nature is going to have maybe coin toss is going to be key in this game, but if it is going to be raining and snowing all game, you could probably expect the run game on both sides for each team ultra critical.
Yeah, and then as the week goes along here, we're going to find out about Noah Pelche and how injured was he late in that game. It was his non-throwing shoulder, but it still didn't look too great after. The team showed up at the U of R basketball game. Bus rolled in. They all got out. Little celebration, little twirl on the hardwood. Why wouldn't some guys? And he had a brace on. That's just probably stabilizing, though, right? Until you get the MRI, until you know what's going on. But yeah, he was slinged up. We'll get some word on that. But yeah.
It's one thing if you're one of the players, if you're one of the parents of one of the players, how nervous are you for this weekend? Like because what Brendan and Derek did a great job describing this on Saturday between the Huskies and the Rams. For some guys, this will be the last organized football game that they will ever play. This is going to be the end of the road for somebody, for some team. And same thing on Saturday. It's as somebody's moving on, and for some people, the football career will come to an end as they know it, because there isn't. I know there is some adult football, but it's not like you can go just play like hockey or ball or somewhere else.
Yeah.
For some people, like this is going to be it, and maybe that's the thing with their backs against the wall, going, well, there is no tomorrow. Let's just go out there. We got nothing to lose. Like I said, it's house money at this point for the Rams. 3-5. Nobody has ever even made the Hardy Cup with a 3-5 record, let alone won it.
I know. I love it. The game goes down, like we said, 2 p.m. Mosaic Stadium, 1:30 pregame show here on 620 CKRM. People that are thinking about going to tickets, $20 for general admission. That's your GA. $10 for youth. That's 6 to 17-year-olds. 5 and under free. Free for U of R students. Need a valid student ID, so don't go and try and pull any of those fast ones.
Could you imagine now, like how easy it is to make ID with Photoshop and all the? Remember the old days when someone had fake ID, what you had to go through to get that? What were they called? Bar cards in Saskatchewan. But basically, this was before picture ID, so it just was a piece of paper. I did see something. I think if you're like, listen, I have money and I don't sit outside when it's raining. I think there's tickets in the AGT lounge, which includes food and your ticket. I think there's 75-ish each or something like that.
$75 general admission. You get some grub, free for kids age 5 and under in the AGT lounge. I like this, the corporate ticket package. Get behind the team. If you got a corporation, because they would do it in Laval. If Laval was hosting this game, Jacques Tremblay or whatever his name is and his furniture cronies, he'd be getting all the guys with deep pockets around. So looking at a lot of these businesses around town, you can get 100 tickets to the game, $1,000. It's a write-off, Jerry.
When I saw that, I'm like, is that a typo? Like 100 tickets in the AGT lounge for $1,000?
No, I think those are just regular tickets.
Oh, sorry, because I was like, damn, that's a good deal. Like food and drinks and tickets. You had 100 tickets for $1,000.
We talked about $5 heads of lettuce, so the AGT would go broke if it was 100 tickets in the AGT.
Maybe they're serving taco in a bag that day to keep the costs under control.
Still, that's gone up. Yeah. Okay, let's take a quick break. When we come back, it is SJHL report time. SJHL hockey. If you're watching the stream, are we going to have a treat for you with Benny Walchuk? It's the all-new Sportscage, streaming at sportscage.com.
When it comes to duct cleaning, call Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They'll clean out the dust and debris that builds up over the summer. When you need protection, they offer a monthly plan for homeowners to get regular service done on their AC and furnace, as well as plumbing. And when it comes to furnace servicing, it's never too early to get that done too. Bronco will service your furnace and have you ready to go before winter hits. Consider it today, so you can rest easy tomorrow. Learn more at broncoplumbing.com.
Hun, I'm starving. What do we have to eat?
Avoid the annoyed.
Western pizza.
I really don't feel like cooking today.
Avoid the annoyed.
Western pizza.
I want lasagna.
I was thinking Caesar salad and garlic bread.
I had my heart set on chicken wings.
Avoid the annoyed.
Western pizza.
Avoid the annoyed with Western Pizza. Big on toppings, big on taste. Dine in or take out. Order today.
Western pizza.
Sask Lotteries has 50 years of winning behind us. And you know what that means? Lots of winning numbers. Numbers like over 1,200 organizations funded and 12,000 plus groups supported. $6 million given away annually in community grants. And the winningest number of all? $1.4 billion given back to the people of Saskatchewan through sport, culture, and recreation. And we're just getting started. Help us grow the next 50. Learn more at sasklotteries.ca.
From November 7th to 13th, the Great Save event is on at Sport Check. Take 25% off full-priced items on the top brands in sport. Plus, save up to 50% on featured door crashers. See in-store or sportcheck.ca for more details.
Time now for the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League report on the all-new Sportscage. The SJHL report is brought to you by Southie Mainline, the Mainline Automotive Group's newest king of trucks. Southie Mainline, just 30 minutes north of Regina. Worth the drive, every time. Guaranteed.
Right. Southie Mainline Chrysler, they got their 2023s have up to $13,085 off. I've never got that. Why we just couldn't go 13,000? We had to go $13,085 off. Regardless, that's a heck of a deal at Southie Mainline Chrysler, the king of trucks in Southie, Saskatchewan. Benny Walchuk joining us, sweet duster buddy for Movember. You look good. What is that? A Drake Canucks jersey behind you, or is that a Vancouver Canucks?
No, don't be saying Drake Canucks around my cousin, but it's a Vancouver Canucks vintage jersey. I have to put it in the background. Big game tonight against the Flames.
Yeah.
Is it vintage because you guys are commemorating never ever winning a Stanley Cup and only having a riot to your name as far as your lore goes, team wise?
Who's this guy? The second guy on the stream here today.
He was the guy at the gym today on the Spotify playlist. Heard the Oak Ridge Boys trying to love two women show up on the feed. There's your country classic for the week.
You all come back saloon, much better tune if you're asking me. But yeah, that is correct that your Vancouver Canucks and Flames go at it. Flames are only 2 points up on the Canucks, right? They played 3 more games though. Elsewhere in the NHL, it's stopped there. Islanders, Oilers tonight. Ooh, Isles can't score. Hammer the under and the Oilers in that one. Jets at Rangers. There's a Canadian team. That's a big game. Like measuring stick wise.
Well, 14-1. Nobody thought the Jets and the other thing too is no one will buy it. They're like paper dragons. Like no one will buy stock at 14-1. I heard an interview with Kevin Shovel-Dayoff yesterday, and they're kind of talking about being Rodney Dangerfield-ish, no respect. But yeah, so the Rangers tonight, that's a good measuring stick because the Rangers are one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference.
I want to start the SJHL report, Benny, but what's going on in Melville? They're winless in 5, they're sliding. What's up with the money men?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a bump in the road right now. They've had 3 or 4 one-goal games that they just can't find ways to get the win. I know yesterday they had the Weyburn Red Wings on the ropes, 2-0 up after 40 minutes of play. Then they kind of just take a lapse for 10 minutes, and then they find themselves down 4-2, and they just couldn't come back. So just not playing a full 60 minutes. It's not maybe getting as consistent net minding as they thought, and especially on Saturday, their special teams struck on Monday with 2 goals on the power play in Weyburn, but on Saturday against Humboldt, they had a 5-on-3 for 2 minutes late in that third period. They couldn't convert. So it's a little bit of a bump in the road here. It's November that they want to forget right now, but I'm no talking to Doug Johnson. He'd rather do this now than maybe in February, March. So it's a little bump in the road. I'm sure we're going to expect that. They're a veteran team. I'm sure they're going to rebound here quickly.
That's exactly what the Regina Pat Blues are going through in the Bantam AA League, losing 1-goal games, blowing leads. Maybe the coaches need to get together and chat about it. Weyburn keeps rolling. 9-0-1 in their last 10. The Red Wings, they're at sportscage.com. They're ahead of the power rankings. The Wings are for real.
Yeah, they are. They just can keep on winning games. Like you said, you're finding ways to lose. Malville, Yorkton, and Weyburn are finding ways to win hockey games. And you have 2 of the best netminders, Dazza Mitchell and Angelo Zoll, and you can win each and every night. And Cody Mapes had a struggle. They were, like you said, we talked about, they were 0-4 to start the season, and they come back and they've gotten out points in 14 games in a row, 6-game winning streak on that. So it's exciting times in Weyburn. They're finally get some more people in the building there at Crescent Point Place, and exciting times there in southeastern Saskatchewan.
So last week, Benny, when we had you on, it was the MJ-SJ showcase in Warman. Is there anybody that came out of those games, whether from MJ or SJ, that kind of put themselves on the map? I know that they were on the roster, but did anybody sort of rise or get a spotlight on them after that maybe you weren't thinking of?
Yeah, I know. Just talking to Commissioner Kyle McIntyre, he mentioned that there'll be about half a dozen or so SJHL players that'll be part of that Canada West camp. So I think I didn't get the exact list, but I've hearing like a guy like Connor Miller out of Lipton, Saskatchewan, just down the road there from Regina, from the Humboldt Broncos. He had a good game on Saturday in Melville, and I think he'll be one of those guys that are going to be playing for Canada West. It's kind of hard for some of these 05 players for Saskatchewan. We talked about having kind of a limit on 05s that the Canada West has for the World Junior A Challenge. So you might have had a great camp as a 19-year-old, but you're going against MJHL, AJHL, and SJHL for those 6 or 7 spots as a 19-year-old on the team. So I think a guy like Connor Miller, I think Angelo Zoll did a very good job at the netminder for Weyburn. He had a shutout in that hockey game as well. So there's a couple of guys, and the Perlinger boys from Kindersley had a good couple of games as too. So it's kind of hard. You'd like to go there with maybe a line mates on your team, or it's hard to get some chemistry early on. So I think it's those guys from, I know even in MJHL, the 2 guys from Selkirk, Owen Warnick and Rogan Guevara, had a good camp there with the Selkirk Steelers. And so it's one of those things, kind of a crapshoot sometimes. You get stick with the right line mates, maybe a guy you played minor hockey with, an Adam or something like that, or U11 or U13 that you might get finally find some chemistry that helps you in that camp.
Have there been a lot of talk? You're riding the bone shakers with the different teams. A lot of talk on this CHL, NCAA, and what are guys saying there, Benny? What are you hearing?
Yeah, lots of junior A teams, even the coaching staffs are just they want us a little bit of a fine details of some of this agreements. They're looking in the fine detail of maybe like the funding from the CHL to the WHL to the maybe the EI or the entry level money for those college athletes going south of the border, and actually the BCHL and the USAHL, the United States Hockey League, probably the ones that are going to be hit most a little bit with this new agreement. And the BCHL has kind of counteracted that. They've moved up their 20-year-olds from 3 to now 5 or 6. So Estevan Bruin netminder Kyle Kelsey has been plucked by the BCHL's Victoria Grizzlies because they kind of increased their 20-year-olds to kind of contract what the CHL and the NCAA have done. So it's kind of a counter effect and a domino effect from each of the leagues. But it's talked about a little bit. It's gonna affect, of course, junior hockey. Just another great path for Canadian hockey players to have a chance to play CHL, then play NCAA. It's only going to develop Canadian players and make them even better on the world stage. But it's going to be some fine tuning and some fumbling here in the next few years to see what's actually going to happen. But not much talk yet. But maybe as we get going here this season, maybe we see more players moving out of the SJHL or the MJHL and moving back in. We'll have to see.
I wanted to go back to that Nutrien. Is it the Nutrien division?
Yeah.
And I was like, that thing is tight, minus Notre Dame, which I don't know. I don't understand why they're in that division, and I guess that all with how it all played out. But like Humboldt, Battleford, and Kindersley, if it's going to stay like this all year, like what a battle for first in that division. Like how tight is that, Benny?
Yeah, it is very tough. Kindersley is kind of on. They've had, like we've talked about in the past, they're kind of on a little bit of a home-heavy schedule here with the new Viterra Prairie Pinnacle, which is the women's curling, and of course the Sastel Tanker taking place there at the end of January. So they're going to be at their rink for about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks there at the end of January. So they kind of a little bit of a sputter right now. But you have a team like Battleford who's kind of standing put right now with 9 wins and 3 extra time losses, and then Humboldt Broncos are winning a few, losing one, winning a few, losing one. So they're staying pretty consistent, still trying to find their group there in that Nutrien division standings. But yeah, that's an exciting division. But yeah, boy, is there a lot of travel in that division for sure.
I heard. Okay, we're going here. We're on. If you're watching the stream right now, you see Benny's duster, and then you see Kamish, Kyle McIntyre. He sent this to me because you guys are doing a heck of a job. Like that was his duster last week. That thing's probably come in now. We got a full week on that. We need an update, Mac, on your mustache. But it's a Movember opening leaderboard. You guys are having a contest, changing the face of men's health. Is it all the teams that are doing it?
Yeah, it is all the teams. I know there's SJHL staff team doing one, which is not me included, but it's the Weyburn Red Wings right now leading the way with a $1,300 raise. But yeah, each team is going to have members of the organization. I know the Millionaires have some of their executive board members and presidents and some of the players. But it's a great way to kind of grab men's health, which is the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League with Movember and the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. It's kind of a good relationship between the two to raise money, face of men's health, people facing some mental health problems or some just prostate problems or anything like that, the kind of unfortunate problems that the guys go through. So it's a great initiative. And yes, I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of guys in the SJHL have better stashes than Kyle McIntyre has right now, but we won't go there. But he usually sends me a weekly update of his stash, and it doesn't get much better each and every week. That's for sure.
Trevor Blevins would have an unreal, like, speaking of Oak Ridge Boys, like that the lead singer from the Oak Ridge Boys had a sick duster. Blevins would be right up there with him.
This is the funny part of the season when these younger kids try to do some stashes, and you're like, oh, your stash is a little bit darker than last week. Yeah, Benny, I have to try just for men here. I have to try it out a little bit.
Nice. I love it. Okay, quickly, we got about 30 seconds. What is the Southie Mainline Chrysler worth the drive game of the week, according to Benny Walchuk?
I'm going to go out to West Central Saskatchewan again, and Flin Flon Bombers in town. Flin Flon had a big win last week over Melfort to kind of I think they're finding their groove a little bit there in northwestern Manitoba. So they're going to be in Kindersley this Friday, Friday and Saturday for a showdown there at the Interpipeline Arena in Kindersley. And I'm going to go that one, Flin Flon Bombers and Kindersley Clippers. That's a heck of a drive for Flin Flon, but that's my drive of the week there in West Central Saskatchewan.
They're playing 2 games. They can hit the Red Lion. It'll all be good. Thanks, Benny.
No problem. Take care, guys.
That is your SJHL report for Southie Mainline. Chrysler 2024 Grand Caravans. $1,000 bonus cash along with the Wrangler and Wagoneer. Worth the drive every time in Southie, Saskatchewan. Time for a quick break. It is a Sports Cage on the home of hockey in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM.
You say
move,
and your cows say you tell them
your water is right over there,
and they say you can't convince a cow to move to the water, so move the water to the cows with the Keln Solar Livestock Watering System. With the Keln Solar Livestock Watering System, you can put your pump pretty much anywhere without the cost of hooking up to the grid. Learn more about the Keln Solar Livestock Watering System at kelnsolar.com. Keln Solar, we move water.
Hello, Regina. I'm Sandra Masters. If re-elected as your mayor, I will continue building a safer community, improving city infrastructure, supporting people and jobs, and pressing for financial accountability and transparency. There's still more work to do. The cost of being unprepared is too high. I'm prepared to do the work, and I'm constantly fighting for the future of our city. Let's keep going. On Election Day tomorrow, I ask for your vote so that together we can keep moving Regina forward.
It's here, the year-end clear-out sale. Check out this GM-certified pre-owned low-mileage 2024 GMC Terrain Elevation with all-wheel drive and heated seats and a sharp black wheel package. We have over 40 to choose from, starting from $31,995 plus taxes. Rates as low as 4.99% for 24 months OAC, and financing is available on all GM-certified pre-owned vehicles. Plus roadside assistance and a 150-plus point inspection. It's the year-end clear-out sale on certified vehicles.
Some will try to tell you 8 inches is enough. Others will say 10 inches will do. But when you want a lot of pizza, you gotta hanker down with a delicious 13-inch pepperoni from Western Pizza. Why mess with a good thing? You know what you want. 13 inches of pepperoni pizza perfection from Western Pizza. Western Pizza. Big on toppings, big on taste. Dine in or take out. Order today.
And get it hot and get it fast. Western Pizza.
I'm Corey Atkinson with your 620 CKRM Precision Weather Forecast, brought to you by Line X Regina. Serious protection, killer looks, 1865 McGuire Street, and for Matt's Furniture. Visit mattsfurniture.ca. Now here's Precision Weather meteorologist Phil Spivak.
Partly cloudy sky for tonight, gentle northwesterly breeze, temperature backing down to around -3. Another mostly sunny, mild day. We're already pretty close to the average high by the time we start the day Wednesday. We warm it to 8 for the afternoon with a light southerly wind under abundant sunshine. Cloud cover begins to roll in for Wednesday night, turning mostly cloudy by Thursday morning, backing down to -1. And Thursday, temperature again, 8 degrees. Couple of rain showers are possible through the afternoon. Should be light and spotty once again. They're clearly rain. We're well above freezing. In fact, we barely dropped below freezing at all Thursday night, thanks to that thicker cloud cover and the wind from the southwest. Temperatures do begin to back down a little bit, though, through the day on Friday. We'll have a mixture of cloud and sunshine and a high near 6, and there's a better chance for some precipitation Saturday afternoon through Saturday evening as well. Could be some flurries mixing in at times. Mostly rain showers, though, with a high near 5. With your 620 CKRM weather forecast, I'm Precision Weather meteorologist Phil Spivak.
Across the province at this hour, Saskatoon is 8, Swift Current 7, Assiniboia 8, Broadview-Moosomin 8, Yorkton-Melville 6, Estevan is 5, and Weyburn is 7. At this hour in Moose Jaw, it's mostly cloudy, winds from the northwest at 26, gusting to 35, and it's 8 degrees. Regina is also mostly cloudy, winds are from the northwest at 17, and it's also 8 degrees. For more local news that matters to you, subscribe to the daily newsletter at sasktoday.ca.
He's had it again. Matt's sharpening his pencil to save you big money at Matt's Furniture. Now till November 20th, save more with Maytag. Check out the Maytag front-load washer with extra power and 12-hour fresh span option for just $11.99. Get it in white or upgrade to Volcano Black for $100 more. Or the Maytag front-load electric dryer with extra power and quick dry cycle, which also comes in Volcano Black for an additional $100. Matt's Furniture in Fort Capel, Kamsack, Melville, and Foam Lake, or online at mattsfurniture.ca.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line X. Make your truck complete. 1865 McGuire Street.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents the all-new Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Sask Lotteries, bringing communities together. Sask Lottery products fund over 12,000 sports, culture, and recreation groups across Saskatchewan. Be a part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The all-new Sportscage. Streaming at sportscage.com and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Hour 3 of the program on this Tuesday for Saskatchewan Lotteries. Chris Mazurek and Barney Schenker. Hey, Maz, a funny story, but not so funny. This is supporting sport culture and recreation in Saskatchewan. That's my Sports Select ticket right there for the Riders to win the Grey Cup. So now it is
collector's item.
Yeah, I'm going to tear it up. It's not. We can leave it here for next year. Light a fire under us and them and everything. Okay, before we get going, we don't do sports at the top of the hour anymore, but there are some hockey games in the area. Swift Currents at Moose Jaw tonight. Broncos tied for third in the Eastern Conference. Doing a heck of a job there in Swift. The Warriors are last, which is a little bit surprising.
Yeah.
Red Deer's in Seattle. NHL-wise, like we mentioned earlier, the Islanders are at the Oilers. Islanders can't score. The Jets and Rangers, that's a good watch coming up here, MSG. I know a guy from Raymore, Saskatchewan, that's the pilot. He's going to that game tonight. I'm like, you ever been to a game in MSG? He's like, no. And I'm like, oh, you're in for a treat. Probably the best atmosphere to watch an NHL game that I've been to. Leafs host the Sens. And Flames Canucks, so a couple of all-Canadian matchups. Flames are 2 points up on the Canucks, but have played 3 more games. So some hockey around tonight. And one other thing hockey-wise that we didn't talk about yet, Striker Zablocki played in the Regina Rebels from Prince Albert, played in Regina. She was named the top forward at the U18 Female Nationals for Team Saskatchewan. So,
oh yeah, I remember we interviewed her back in the spring, and she was just won. What did that? And then she was back home in Prince Albert, and she had like house duties. Like, we don't care that you just won whatever. You got stuff to do. Mom
and Dad were like, get at it, Striker. So Striker's a blocky. Good job. She is the clutch performer for Nick Service in Emerald Park. Your local Massey Ferguson Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fent dealer. Call 781-1077 to the fine folks in Emerald Park at Nick's Service.
The all-new Sportscage with CFL and Saskatchewan Roughrider legend Glen Suitor is brought to you by Quality Tire. With 9 locations across Saskatchewan, visit qualitytire.ca.
Over under 10 times that Glenn's been on the zip line so far at the Grey Cup. You were excited about it in May, Glenn. I want to see you up on that thing.
Well, it's funny, you guys. I ran into a military guy that I know from the 417 Squadron in Cold Lake in the airport in Winnipeg after the final. And halfway, he's in a rescue squadron. So he's the guy that goes down the cable into the fire or into the ocean and grabs the victim and brings them up to the helicopter and that kind of thing. And I'm talking to him I'm saying, hey, you're going to Grey Cup. You should try the zip line. It's real. Oh yeah, you probably have done way more with
yeah.
So jumping out of a helicopter to save lives and stuff. And you know what he said? He goes, "Yeah, no, but I'm going to go on the zip line."
Well, that's good. So Suits, what I want to know, since the Grey Cup is in Vancouver and that's where you live, do you get like a free week pass from your wife that you can just floor it every night because it's in the hometown? You don't got to travel anywhere. Just be like, this is my week. Just don't. I'll talk to you next Monday morning. Let's just agree to disagree. I'm going to be out having a good time.
Yeah, she does that. She does that every year because when I'm out of town, obviously she's got to hold the fort down for a whole week. But when I'm here, and it's happened a couple of times now, I really don't get into too much of the festivities. I don't. I honestly don't. I am doing a lot of studying, want to make sure I cover all the bases, and I certainly don't have a beverage this week. I just don't, because I know me. And if I go and one cold one is going to taste great, and then the fans are going to be there, and we're going to talk about the game, and the next thing I know, it's going to be 2 a.m, and I got a game in 2 days. So I can't really get involved. But I'll tell you what, when you're doing the Grey Cup at home, it is a challenge in taking care of your regular stuff. Like, I still have stuff to do around the house and things like that. So I got to do that and then head down to the coaches thing. The commissioner spoke today. So lots going on, but
Jeez Louise. This is like listening to a coach before a championship game say all the right things. I'm calling bull, you know what, that you're not even going to have a cold one all week. And then how much stuff do you have to do around the house? Let's be honest. The kids are out of the house. I said that to my wife the other day when we were putting up the Christmas tree and vacuuming and everything. I'm like, when these guys are gone, it's going to be boring. You don't got a lot to do, Glenn.
Okay, you caught me on that. I don't have a lot to do around the house, but the discipline thing on this week. This game is part of Canadian history. This is the way I look at it, and the Grey Cup Championship is sort of a heritage. There's a heritage aspect to that in our country, and I may screw it up. Like I may mess up a guy's name, or I may use the telestrator incorrectly or something. And if I did that after being, out too late the night before, or lose my voice prior to the game the night before, 2 nights before, I just don't do it, guys. I really don't. And anyone who knows me around, a cold one or a glass of wine knows that's really tough for me to do.
So if you see Suits in Riderville, he's lost. Put him in an Uber and send him home to his wife immediately. Don't say come this way. Put your arm around him. Get in the bar. Hey, can I ask you a question? Because Glenn, one of the things I've always loved and respected about you, and keep in mind we'd never met until. You have been a staunch defender of the military. You have made it, I don't know if it's your mission, but through the years on TSN to take the time to recognize the men and women of the armed forces in Canada because they do not get enough recognition. Yesterday being Remembrance Day, and this is what got me going. There were some Remembrance Day things that got politicized, where people brought in, even Craig Conroy from the Flames jumped in to talk about a service in Calgary because it was not about the veterans. It went down a wrong path. Does that stuff bother you too when you see that we can't just honor and respect the people that have served this country and continue to serve this country?
Yes, immensely. And as a matter of fact, the gentleman that I knew from the 417 Squadron, whose name, by the way, is Chris Hill. I almost apologized ahead of time for anyone who was making it a political statement around some of the hallowed ground of the statues and where some of the ceremonies are being held, and there's drug issues around it, and when that happens, I'm not picking out the homeless or the drug addicted or anything. I'm saying that people use that platform then to make their political point one way or another. And I just, we see it in a lot of aspects of life, but I will tell you that my time at the 417 Squadron, and I got a chance to go up there and stay overnight and get up at 5 a.m. with them and, go to the mess hall, and actually got a chance to sit in the helicopter when they were driving down a creek bed too, which was just blow your mind cool. But I leave those meetings with them feeling like I can do better, like feeling like no matter how good you think you are as a citizen, you can do better. They are driven. They are committed to this country first. They have each other's back like, the best team you've ever seen. And you walk out of there completely inspired. And those guys don't have a chance to question orders. They can't be political when it comes to running in to save someone, or being told that they've got to protect that hill or whatever it is, or that building, or go overseas and help another country do the same thing. They have to take orders, whether they believe in it or not. They have to believe in it and believe in the commanding officer, take the order and go execute the task. And I've been behind them a long time, guys. It started, I'll give you the quick one. It started when probably 15 years ago, the Canucks had lost in the playoffs. And in the province newspaper at the time, there was probably 10 pages, not the sports section, 10 pages in the newspaper on why the Canucks lost. And on page 11, there was this tiny little article about an American soldier who was being honored. He had died in battle, but he was being honored. He was a 19-year-old, and he had jumped on a hand grenade overseas to save his unit in a bunker. And it was this tiny little article, and I thought, I get it. I love sports too, and it draws eyes and all that, but this needs to be amplified. Like, this kid made a decision to save his teammates, and I just thought I've got to get behind this and use my platform as best I can to say thank you to all of them that serve.
There was some great stuff yesterday to watch, and then tying it back to football, like the Pat Tillman story, right? That they had down south, and like we talk about selfless, so unbelievable. What early on in this week, we talked to Arash Madani, who was at the stadium earlier. What are you curious to watch early in this Grey Cup week from either side? Probably more the Toronto Argonauts and how they're going to manufacture some sort of offense around Arbuckle?
Yeah, I think once we get to the game, there's a lot of different aspects. I mean, we can talk Thursday about, keys to the game and things like that, especially for people who might want to be putting. I heard the spread is upwards around 10.5 now.
It's crazy.
Yeah, something like that. So, I don't want to dissuade people one way or another, or persuade them one way or another to bet on one team or the other, because if they don't win, they'll come and find me. But what I do want to, but
not,
you know what?
Not at the Patch or not at the Riderville.
No,
not at Riderville.
No, but you know what? There's so many cool keys. The fact that it is Arbuckle is going to make a difference. But the Argos can win in a lot of different ways. They have the best returner in the league, in Janarian Grant. Their front seven collectively is better than any front seven in the league, I think, on defense. And they have, Mackay Polk and DeMonte Coxey that are two of the hottest receivers in the league. So, I think they can make this a game. But again, lots of keys. I'm going to be looking at Toronto. Yes. Nick Arbuckle can tell a pretty cool story about being ready when you're number two. Be ready, because your time, you might be called. And of course, you guys know in 2007, Ryan did when he went through the same thing. His first start in the CFL was the Grey Cup in 2007.
Grey Cup.
Kevin Glen.
Yeah. So, Suits, one of the things that we a lot of us so far on the show, and anybody we've talked to, on Saturday, the Saskatchewan Roughriders got beat by a Winnipeg Blue Bomber team that was just flat out better in all three phases. It looked like the Bombers had an answer no matter what the Riders did in any phase of the game. And the credit goes to the Bombers and the coaching staff, because although the score was 38-22, the game never seemed that close, even when it was like 14-6. To you, did it always feel like the Bombers were in control of that game, especially once they went up 14-0?
Yes, absolutely. I make the comparison to the 2013 Rider run, when I watched Darian Durant and that team in the Grey Cup. That game was never in doubt. That the Riders, when they came out of the tunnel, were ready at a different level than Hamilton was that day. And, that's not a slight at the Ticats or a pro athlete that isn't quite, as prepared as the opponent. I don't care what team you put over there. You could have put Warren Moon's Eskimos on the other side, and the Riders were winning that game in 2013. I felt very similar in this playoff game. A real successful season for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, for a first-year head coach to lead the team to a home playoff game and win it and get to the final is a great stepping stone, a great sort of, cornerstone of the foundation you're trying to build. But yeah, that's exactly what I thought about midway through the second quarter. I thought, this is a Hall of Fame quarterback who's been the best quarterback in the league in Zach Collaros, the best quarterback since he went to Winnipeg in 2019. He's been the best quarterback in the league throughout that stretch. And he was on. He was on. It didn't matter what they did. And then when there was a bust in coverage, he found it. And in the second half, they went to what we all thought they were going to do to start the game, which was go to Brady Oliveira and have him pound it up. So, I was with you. I thought, there's going to have to be something unusual happen, a block kick, an interception for a touchdown from the Riders. Something like that was going to have to happen for that game to turn. And the Bombers just weren't having any of it. They were going to win on that day.
Was it scheme and coaching more so than, again, there's execution, Glenn, but we talked about it earlier in the show. Like, that 2 weeks seemed to really help the Bombers in coming up with some sort of scheme and game plan that caught the Riders off guard, and then they executed it. Like, I saw, Collaros, he ate that zone up when he did throw the ball. It just seemed like they knew exactly what we were throwing at them.
Well, I think there's something to be said about that extra week for sure. I'm always reluctant to say that a team got out coached. I think you can have a good game plan, and as you go through it, as the game starts to progress, there is an element of coaching that you need to make the adjustments necessary. And I think the Riders were trying to do that. I mean, for the first couple of quarters, they tried to get the ball to Sam Emelis. And, you saw Evan Holm, their halfback, just win the battles. When the ball was about to arrive, he just cut underneath those routes and made the plays on the ball. So, I think they went in with a game plan. They made some adjustments that didn't work. I remember talking to Trevor Harris guys before the game started, and in our Zooms during the week, and I asked him, what makes Winnipeg as good as they've been in the last 19 years? He said, it's not that they have better schemes or trickier plays or anything like that. It's that they don't, if you get them on a play, they don't make that mistake again. And they make the adjustments really quickly. So now you're facing something different and you have to adjust to that. And it's this massive chess game going on, which is one of the things we love about football. But, I wouldn't say, completely out coach, but I would say that extra week, in the last 4 years, if you wanted to beat the Bombers, you had to host the final. You had to host the final, and don't discredit the crowd and how that influenced Trevor Harrison trying to get plays run on offensively.
I heard you and Dustin had mentioned that you'd never heard it so loud in there. Like Labor Day or Banjo Bowl being one thing, but this was even a notch up from Banjo Bowl as far as crowd losing it.
Yeah, it's a notch up, and it's just a unsettling feeling. It's hard to start playing with tremendous confidence. I mean, they battled. I thought Schaefer Baker battled. There was players that played well in the game, but for the Riders. But the crowd was huge. The extra week is important. A good coaching staff will do a little self-scouting in that week. The difference in Montreal and their bye was that they went a month and a bit without a game that mattered in the standings. And that could make you, I think, that could be an issue. You know, they looked a little off. I mean, Cody was missing some throws in the East final that he made all season and that he made last year. So I think it was a different scenario for them with a month and a half of games that were sort of tough to get ready for and playing different players and things like that. And then they had the week off, and then they played the Argos, who are kind of on a roll. So, you know, we've had this discussion many times about how important the final is, but give me a chance at a final and self-scouting for a week. Yeah, I'm in.
All right. Well, you have a good few days here doing housework, and then we'll catch up with you on
I would
Thursday.
love to know how many loads of laundry Suits is doing. Yeah, and he doesn't drink. He doesn't drink red wine, and he doesn't drink beer. In case you see him at Riderville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Not this week. Not this
There
week.
we go.
I'm gonna go do one set of laundry just to do it now. I have to now.
Talk to you Thursday.
Thanks, guys.
See ya. Press coverage of the Glen Suitor for Quality Tire, 9 locations across Saskatchewan. Quick break here on the program. When we come back, we have Double Talk with Darian Durant. He's standing by. Didn't sleep in today. He's revved and ready to go. It's the all-new Sportscage, streaming at sportscage.com.
The all-new Sports Cage is brought to you by Busy Bee Doors. Busy Bee will repair or replace your residential or commercial garage doors so you don't get stuck in or out. Catch the buzz. Busy Bee Doors, the garage door specialists.
The Gleaner S98 is the culmination of a century of unique design and performance, adding more harvest performance through operator comfort, new technology, and simplified serviceability. The Gleaner S98 is a combine designed to propel your business forward. Gleaner's simple design drastically reduces compaction and increases fuel savings. Learn more about the Gleaner S98 at Nick's Service in Emerald Park or visit them online at nickservice.com.
I'm delving in? What does that even mean? Can you only delve into something? Because you know what I like to do? Delve out of Saskatchewan winters. But at least your local Cooper tire dealer carries Cooper Discoverer True North winter tires. Cooper Discoverer True North winter tires provide exceptional grip and traction in the snow and ice. See your local Cooper tire dealer for Cooper Discoverer True North winter tires. They'll help you delve into winter driving conditions.
From November 7th to 13th, the Great Save event is on at SportCheck. Take 25% off full-priced items on the top brands in sport. Plus, save up to 50% on featured door crashers. See in-store or sportcheck.ca for more details.
The all-new Sports Cage presents Double Talk with Darian Durant. Brought to you by Wolf Industries, your truck repair specialist in Grenfell. Servicing all sizes of trucks, SGI accredited. And Prairie Land Rentals. Whether it's for the farm or the backyard, Prairie Land Rentals can help with all sizes of jobs.
It is Double Talk with Darian Durant. Yeah, I know you and Maz did the podcast thing, so you guys kind of you're already warmed up in this, but Saturday, Darian, and you know what? We're getting comments here from people. Most of them are, I guess, logical in things and where we were last year and where we are now. Yeah, we didn't get to the Grey Cup. We didn't win the Grey Cup, but the positivity that we got to take. Knowing, and I said to Maz, knowing like who are we better than in the league today? And there's a number of teams where last year we were at the bottom.
Yeah, totally. I think, if you look at the difference in team, just the attitude, the decision to bring in Coach Mace to change just the complete culture of the organization. I think he did a great job of just implementing his footprint on the team, his vision he's shown. And, you have to definitely compare it year by year and say that you're in a totally better spot than you were last year. And you have to feel great about where you are. You had an opportunity to be in first place. I think if Trevor doesn't get hurt, you have the Western Final at home, no doubt about it, given the way that Winnipeg struggled early on in the season. So you have to look at the bright side, and you're a few pieces away from being the best team in the league. And, it's a good feeling to have, even though you lost the game.
So, Darian, one of the things that was brought up when your time with a Rider, and hopefully with Mace and the staff and stability, you had a million different offensive coordinators and learning new systems all the time. How helpful is it going to be next year? Let's say all the coaches come back, and that doesn't always happen, and they bring back a core group of guys. How much further ahead are you when you hit training camp in 2025, not having to relearn something?
Oh, it's imperative that it's just awesome to be in that situation where, guys don't have to come into training camp learning a total new system. Nothing's a foreign language. You get to build off of what you started the previous year. So I think that's amazing. And you know what? In my case, a lot of the turnover had to do with us winning. I mean, you look at us going to Grey Cup in 2009, and then Coach Lapalisse gets a head coaching job, and then in 2010, things turn over from there. So with winning comes a lot of turnover in the coaching staff. So I think that in this case, even though you didn't win, to have the staff intact is huge for the Riders.
We're not in that locker room, and we don't know, the personalities and the culture. I guess we can, make our best guess on how it went down and how everything seemed positive. And it started at the top with Mace. But on the heels of that, Darian, how positive is that when you have a lot of these free agents and guys wanting to probably come back and to kind of use the old slogan, like, finish the job?
Yeah, it's very important, man. You always want to play for a coach and an organization that has some stability, that has shown that they're right there when it comes to winning. And a lot of guys know how hard it is to get to the Grey Cup, let alone win the Grey Cup. So when you have an opportunity as a free agent to go to a team that's right on the cusp, has a good culture intact, has a young, enthusiastic head coach that has played the game. He understands what players go through. He understands the ups and downs of being a professional and contract negotiations, you name it. You want to play for a guy who's been through all of those things. So it's definitely an advantage for the Riders. And, I would hope that a lot of free agents around the league are looking at Saskatchewan as a destination, for a team that's up and coming and is looking to win right now.
Okay, let's jump back to the game. You and we did the Rider Nation podcast, and you can check it out at sportscage.com. It's like 42 minutes, and we get super deep into this. But some of the things you pointed out to me, that on those touchdowns to Lawler, you had said that the Bombers showed the Riders some things, or did things to the Riders they hadn't seen all season. And you had said on a couple of those plays, they brought in tight end sets that they weren't used to doing. And you think that's what caused the confusion in the secondary to allow Lawler to get free to score those touchdowns?
Well, I wouldn't even call it confusion. I just think that whenever you bring in I know for a fact, when you bring in a tight end, you get a high probability of man-to-man coverage. And because the team thinks that when you bring in a tight end, you're going to run the ball. And the way Oliveira has been running the ball, there's no doubt that the Riders were, geared up to stop that. So you get to dictate coverage. You can see here the tight end stays in, and Lawler just runs a great route on Revis. Whenever you can get Lawler matched up right one-on-one and dialed up in the perfect situation, he's going to win the majority of the time. And that's exactly what the Bombers did. Great job by Buck Pierce of just designing, an opportunity to free up Lawler and for him to make plays one-on-one. If you look at these clips, he's one-on-one in every situation. So that's just good coaching and drawing up plays to get your best players in the best situations.
It's funny that's the play that I was watching with my kids. And I said, "Okay, do you see there? The wideout took the guy deep. They're thinking run, and then now inside guy just beat him on like a little post corner." And I'm like, and that it actually translates to hockey too. I was telling my son, and I'm like, see, just skate up the ice and let your defenseman find a lane. I just feel too, Darian, that how they were able to spot the holes in the Riders' zone. was probably like, how much of that would have just been a solid 2 week and getting that game plan and Zach sitting down with his receivers and saying, all right, when they show this, this is probably going to be like that touchdown where they just checked it down. That to me right away, that seems like they knew exactly what they were running up against.
Exactly. I mean, whenever you have a bye, and I mean, I'm sure in the Winnipeg office during that bye week, they were saying, it's a 70, 80% chance we're going to be playing Saskatchewan in the West Final. So majority of their preparation went towards playing against the Riders, and that's not taking anything away from BC, but that's just how you have to think as a coach and as an organization as you're trying to play out the weeks. So they had the extra time while the Riders didn't. The Riders had to put all of their focus on the BC Lions and making sure they came away with that win, while, Winnipeg was able to spend an extra week on the film, look at the tendencies. And I said this a few weeks ago, whenever you have a bye, it gives you a chance to just look at certain players on the opposing side and just look at their body language, see what they do, a little bit more meticulously than you would do during the regular season. You have time to do that. So I'm sure that's exactly what they did. Just let's find out what they're weak at, what we can exploit, and how can we get Kenny Lawler down the field. You can see that these are design plays to get Kenny Lawler down the field and one-on-one coverage. And that's all about, how you scheme. And that's exactly what they did with that extra week off.
Now, you and I, when we chatted on the podcast, there was a play in the game where Brady Oliveira ran into Jameer Thurman. And after that, it seemed like Thurman was, I'll use the word rattled after that, and he kind of wasn't the same. And Brady was Brady. And I had said, as far as free agents go, Thurman is my number one guy before a quarterback or a Trevor Harris, because he's rock solid on defense. How when it gets unsettled on defense, when like the Rock, the guy that holds it all together, how hard is it to watch it, to be like, okay, we got to dial it back in.
Yeah, I mean, Thurman's the guy, man, and he's the quarterback of the defense. And a lot of people don't understand that if your quarterback is rattled on defense, the defense can break down as well. And I'm not saying that that's what happened, but the shot that he took from Oliveira in I think it was the first quarter, I think it set the tone for the physicality that Winnipeg was prepared to play with. And I don't know if the Riders were able to match that. And, when you have one of your best players in Brady Oliveira deciding that he's going to put his body on the line no matter what and just try to run through the starting linebacker for the other team, I mean, that goes to show the mentality that Winnipeg came into that game with. So, the Bombers, they were just – and I heard Suits say something about the crowd noise. You could just even see on TV that crowd was just rowdy as can be. They made it so tough on Trevor and that offense, and you can't get your audibles off. And if the play clock is low, you don't have time to figure out what's going on. So the Bombers were just, as we would say in football terms, they were just turned up, and they were turned up to the max, and they were ready to go. And their crowd definitely brought the energy with that team.
We're not second guessing, or we're not kind of crapping on them or whatever, but too early to gamble there. And where we are in the field in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, I think so. You try to have the confidence in your defense to get a stop right there. You know that if you don't get it, then you're pretty much giving up points immediately. So that's just – but, I think these scenarios and situations coach will learn from. This is his first year as a head coach as well. So he gets a chance to, self-reflect and evaluate himself and go back and look at every game just like players do and think to himself if he would do something differently in each and every game. So, it's a great learning experience for him. He's still learning on the job, and, he'll make the most of it. He's a great coach. He's a very smart guy, and he'll learn from his mistakes as well.
So I'll paraphrase. Thurman is our number one free agent that we need to sign because he keeps that defense together. You'd said you'd bring back Trevor Harris, but what's the one thing that the Riders need to go out and do in free agency to make this team to a contender? What's that one player about one person?
I think the Riders need a playmaker. I think they need a receiver on offense that just puts fear of God in defenders wherever he's lined up. You need a guy, not necessarily an underneath threat, but a guy that can take the top off of coverage, a guy that can make the contested one-on-one plays, and just a guy that can open up the entire offense. I think you'll see the run game benefit tremendously if you had a receiver like that. Teams don't load the box a lot when you have a big play receiver, and I'll use Eugene Lewis and Edmonton as an example of a guy who is just, it's more so 80-20 instead of 50-50 when the ball goes up. So you need a guy like that, a guy who can make plays, a Kenny Lawler type, and I think it'll open up the offense so much.
I'll close on this. We just need Chase Claypool to come one season. He's on a negotiation list. Fix that toe up down there, right? Fix that toe up. Come up here, tear it up for the Riders, and then figure it out.
No, we need to get some longevity. I'm sure the fans want a jersey that they could buy and a guy that can be there for a few years. So that'd be good.
Hey, I have a suggestion, Darian, as a tortured Cowboys fan, because I don't know how much longer people are going to want to play at Jerry World. Call your brother to call CeeDee Lamb. Maybe we can get him, because if him and Jerry just get on the outs or something like that, we get him up here. Because here's the thing. This could be breaking news. I don't think the Cowboys are going to be playing in the Super Bowl this year.
I know, but we can't pay him $2 million a game. You can't do that.
Pro bono work. Tell him it's like it's for the kids.
It's marketing money, right?
Here's your sales pitch. We built our stadium knowing where the sun sets, so the sun won't hit you in the eyes when you're in the end zone.
You can make more plays, right?
Right on. Doubles. Let's do it again next week. We'll recap the Grey Cup and we'll go from there.
We'll talk about a Winnipeg win.
Yep, that's where it's headed. So thanks, guys.
See you later. Double talk with Darian Durant.
Oh, doubles. Oh, I didn't tell you. So he was telling me that he went actually. Him and his brothers, they went and saw a Cowboys game in Atlanta a few weeks ago. And I'm like, you didn't wear a jersey, did you? He goes, no. I just dress normal or whatever, because they're Cowboys fans. I'm like, yeah, man, like you're catching strays. If you're a Cowboys fan, Sharky, we love you. But if you're wearing gear out in public, you are probably going to get the odd comment at Costco. Even the most random person might light you up.
I like the memes after every loss now. It's like, we still dem boys, and it's the next quarterback that beats them. He wants to come back. He's still on. He's screaming at us. He doesn't like this. He's yelling. Well, we got to let him on Monday. Get back to us. It's the all-new Sportscage, streaming at sportscage.com.
Hello, Regina. I'm Sandra Masters. If re-elected as your mayor, I will continue building a safer community, improving city infrastructure, supporting people and jobs, and pressing for financial accountability and transparency. There's still more work to do. The cost of being unprepared is too high. I'm prepared to do the work, and I'm constantly fighting for the future of our city. Let's keep going. On Election Day tomorrow, I ask for your vote so that together we can keep moving Regina forward.
When planning a mini winter getaway, take a step back in time with the historic Grant Hall Hotel in Moose Jaw. Built in the 1920s, this luxurious hotel features classic designs, 58 styles of rooms, the most elegant meeting rooms, and a banquet hall. Spend the day exploring, then enjoy an extravagant, relaxing dining experience at the Grant Hall Dining Room and Burrowing Owl Lounge. They have gift cards too, perfect for stocking stuffers. The Grant Hall Hotel Moose Jaw, your vacation destination in a notorious little city with an amazing history.
Get your equipment out of the rain and snow and under the roof of a new storage building from Olympic Buildings. Have a warm, dry place to work and keep everything out of the cold. Olympic Buildings, buildings to meet your budget. Visit olympic-buildings.ca.
We love Saskatchewan, and we love hearing from our listeners. Call or text us 306-936-6262. Driven by Capital Ford Lincoln, Saskatchewan's #1 Ford retailer. CapitalFordLincoln.com on 620 CKRM.
Welcome back to the all-new Sports Cage. Get social with us. Follow us on X @SportsCage. Watch our video stream at sportscage.com and always on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Hockey around the area tonight in Moose Jaw. The Swift Current Broncos are in town to take on the Warriors. The other game in the WHL has Red Deer in Seattle. NHL tonight, the Islanders and Oilers, Jets and Rangers. That should be getting going here right away. That'll be an interesting watch. The Leafs, surprising where the Leafs are in the standings. They're hosting the Sens and the Flames and Canucks, the late one. We'll be talking to Eric Francis tomorrow about that game. Also, we got a text message in here, Maz, and we got a few text messages I want to get to, but we did mention Striker Zablocki named the top forward at the U18 Female Nationals for Team Saskatchewan. We interviewed her after the Esso Cup, when the
that's
Regina
what it was. Yeah,
Regina Rebels mopped everybody and won that last year. Capital Ford Lincoln text line. There was one message I wanted to get here. Casey in White City. I'm fine with the Riders first year, with first-year coach staff. Let's top off free agency for some pass rush specialists. I'm sure Corey knows a few that want to play under him. Sign Harris for a few bucks less, and sign Alexander from Montreal as his successor. O'Day did a great job bringing in talent. We got a bunch of great old linemen that can play. We are in good hands. Future looks good. That's kind of text message. That's a smart text message. Casey.
It is, and Darian explained in the podcast when he was asked about taking a pay cut and general managers, and when you get on in your career and you just want to win, like Winnipeg's doing now, guys are taking less to play for a winning team, like go to Winnipeg. Because Kenny Lawler took a pay cut to come back to the Bombers to leave the Eskimos because he wants to play for a winner. So then you got to figure out, is it about you or is it about the team?
Yeah, heck of a point. Very curious how a lot of these free agent talks will go down. Not that, it'd be nice to be, like they always say, like a fly on the wall. Mike messaged in a while ago, and I didn't get to this, and it took a while to read, but get this, Maz. Okay? Take yourself back to high school, Gordie Howe Bowl, watching it. So I guess in the 6A provincial final on Saturday at Mosaic Stadium here, between Campbell and St. Joe's, one of the Guardians from Saskatoon was on the field injured. It happened with 2:30 left in the first quarter to a St. Joe's Guardian player, and he laid on the field for almost 45 minutes until they can get an ambulance to take him off. Why doesn't Mosaic Stadium have an ambulance on site, especially for events that are high contact where players can easily get hurt? It baffles me why the Riders do so. Why wasn't there an ambulance at Mosaic Stadium? Yeah, that is a head scratcher.
Well, I thought they weren't allowed to play sports, especially football, because I remember this, unless there was one in attendance. And same thing with a Western Hockey League game, because I remember in my days in Swift Current, shout out Dwayne Doan, who's been an EMT paramedic there for 30 plus years, just a beauty, that if they had to leave, they could not start the game until the next EMT or paramedic crew was there in case of a medical emergency. So that strikes me as odd because it.
That's a good point. Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of the leagues in SJ, I don't even know if this is still a St. John ambulance still a thing. Like they do yeoman's work.
Ambulance companies are different. They can be owned privately now or whatever. So they may not be called St. John's ambulance, but the ambulance companies. But I would have thought you have to have one always there. And then if something happens, you can't restart again until you have a replacement in case something else, something else were to happen.
Mike, thanks for that message. I had no idea that happened again. Traveling on the weekend, didn't get a chance to watch that. Maybe somebody else will chime in on why they wouldn't have an ambulance at all high school football games. I get it. We're stretched really thin on the medical side and nurses and ambulance and everything like that in this country.
Yeah,
keyword country.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's funny. It's not just a us here in Saskatchewan thing. It's everywhere. I mean, just click on the internet and you'll find it. What I totally forgot. Tomorrow's election day. So did you have you made up your mind, Barney, who you're voting for?
Absolutely not.
What do you mean? So you've got your alderman to pick, or alderperson. Sorry, you can't say man. It's alderperson. You've got your mayor. And I know we got to be careful here. If we say something equal time, there's some more. There's more charismatic, flamboyant people running for mayor. I think there's 10 of them in Regina than I've ever seen before, which is adding some nice spice to the race. There's some people like you can tell this is 100% a joke. And for your friends and social media, that would be you sitting around one night with your buddies and you've had one too many and you're like, I'm going to run for politics. Okay, man, I'll be your campaign manager. Okay, I'll put up some signs. And next thing you know, you've paid the $25 at City Hall and you're now running for office because it's a hoot one night in the backyard.
You're not far off. You're not far off there. Speaking of running for...
with 10 people running for mayor, there's probably 2 to 3 legitimate candidates and that are going to get most of the votes. And then everything is splitting after that.
Oh, yeah. And it's like, you're starting to hear, just like with any politics, like they're talking, people are trying to give me a little dirt on this, a little dirt on that. And I'm like, yeah, that's tomorrow, eh? Wow, that really snuck up on us here in the Queen City.
Between the provincial election, and I don't care what you say about not paying attention or whatever, but with the American election down in the States, everybody was bombarded with it, even up here. Didn't matter. And then you had the Riders in the playoffs. You had Halloween. Is there anything else big that we've missed in there? There's just been a ton of stuff going on. You're like, oh, that's right. Tomorrow's the election.
Black Friday sales. That's all I'm waiting for. Black Friday sales off the map. Like WestJet, drop that Black Friday sale on us. Let's go.
Oh, so here's the thing, and only having 2 Canadian airlines. So my wife's like, hey, check out to this. I'm like, oh, okay. One way. You're like, oh, it's 300 in taxes. Okay. The getting home flight was 900.
Yeah.
So sorry, Vegas. Who doesn't love Vegas? Why am I using my hands like I'm a politician? But $1,200 a person one way. Remember the days when you could go like $350 and all in a person?
It was beautiful. Everything used to be so cheap.
See, CNC Music Factory over there on the other side of all this. You guys will never, ever know. You guys will never know what dollar beers at O'Shea's on the Strip was. You will never know what $2 vodka Red Bulls at O'Shea's were.
Hey, I remember gas being 85 cents a liter.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because we talked about, some people are saying although attendance in the CFL technically was up, and I know in Riderville people will say, and they're going back and talking about 2017 and Randy Ambrosie and all that. It stems back to, but lettuce wasn't $5 a head. Like there are families that just don't have the disposable income that they don't want to drop on it because they are now paying more for everything else than they did in 2017. Everything.
Exactly. So we had our furnace checkup today, and that's like $150. And it's been about that. And I asked him, "Are you guys busy?" He's like, "Yeah." He goes, the difference is from between a few years ago. He goes, if you needed a new furnace, it was $5 or $6 grand. He goes, now it's 10 to 11. And that's just because the cost of everything. And keep in mind, there's good margins in there. And if you own a plumbing company, you'd be like, shut up, not as good as probably they used to. But there is. But that's simply what it is. What used to be and what is now. So, okay, Barney, you got kids. You stop at 7-Eleven. Remember when Slurpees were $1?
Oh, do I got a story for you?
So we went with two mediums and a small, and it was like 6 something.
You don't know my wife that well. You guys don't know my wife. She finally did it. My wife, hey, she's got a fantastic job, worked hard, put herself through school, all that jazz. She can spend her own money on whatever she wants. We got like joint bank account thing. She finally did it. I came home. There is a Ninja Slurpee machine in our house. It's one. So we always have NFL Sunday, football Sunday, right? So now you dump a 2-liter of Coke in this bad boy. She spins for 45 minutes. The best Slurpees around. And one day I'm going to sneak in maybe a little Co-op brand, Coke or Pepsi, see if anyone even notices, to kind of take the dollar amount even down further. Yeah, but going to the store for Slurpees, 7-Eleven days, long gone over here. So now we got a hot dog roller, popcorn machine, and Slurpee. She's got the trifecta that she always wanted. Oh, candy floss too.
And bonus points, you'll actually know the last time that machine was clean too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's actually quite easy to clean. But she didn't. She did it. She finally did it. Came home, Slurpee machine.
And CNC Music Factory, how many invites have you got to Barney's house for NFL Sunday so far this season? I'm going to say, yeah, exactly, Curtis. I'm going to say a grand total of 0. Barney, if you want to Instagram a picture of that Slurpee machine so CNC Music Factory there can see what's going on at your place.
We will. I got 8-track at Christmas time to put on the socials, and I'll do the Slurpee machine the next time that thing is buzzing. Look at that. Just like that, 3 hours down the chute. So much we didn't get to, but we could cover it tomorrow. The Mitchell Bowl, we're going to be all over that over the next week. Grey Cup, still talking Riders. Eric Francis in tomorrow. Who knows where that's going to go? Really?
Well, is Francis on the road? Is he in Vancouver with the team?
I don't know. Him and I were chatting on the weekend about timeshares. I'm asking if he's got somebody he knows that can rent a timeshare where his is in Montana for me. And I thought it was going to go down the Stratomatic hockey rabbit hole again. He's a beauty.
I think Eric lives a good life. He's a good dude.
He's an absolute beauty. Okay, thanks, Maz. Thanks, CNC. I'm back tomorrow with Harry. We'll have some fun, and we're back 3 to 6, and always streaming at sportscage.com.
Winter's here, so that means winter driving is too. Make sure you have tires that are ready to handle the rigors of your constant errands with a quick trip to Quality Tire. At 7 degrees Celsius, the rubber on all